I am live. It says I'm live. Coming in, family. Come in. I'll be there. I want to do like Jojo and they're talking how crazy, you know, and the way it is. Yeah. Peace and love to the family. Peace and love to the family. I trust that the family who was with us will join us again shortly. Excuse me. This is actually a continuation from a video we were doing on Facebook, but we decided to go through YouTube with it as well. It's basically a deliberation, family, in regards to the past two live discussions we've had in regards to, the family can see the title. Does the Bible prophesy Haile Selassie? But despite the title, we actually went into the metaphysical understanding of the vibes, you know, for us to try to attain a new faculty of reasoning in regards to the movement. So we're going to have what they refer to as not an after party, after reasoning of the discussion, you know. So two of the guests is here with me. We're still waiting for a next one called Wasser. I don't know. I'm to him. I go check him just now. But bringing on the Rastafari elder, all of you all should be familiar with his face by now. Well esteemed, you know. Yeah. You get it. Give thanks. Yeah, Rasa Ison.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
for those two parts and bringing back Aku, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother still, you know, from the first part.
I don't know, I sir. You there on the camera? You can see the eye self?
Yeah, I can see everything.
I like stuck on my speaker in my car and things still. So I don't know. Maybe my
It will fix up itself in a moment.
okay.
Yeah, should do because I'm hearing you fine. We're hearing you. I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's good then.
All right, give thanks. So yeah, we started off in the reason where Ison was again leaning towards the metaphysical understanding as well. No, in fact, first I'm gonna say, Aku, since you were there for the first part, I don't know if you got a chance to watch piece or the whole of the second part. What did you think? If you did.
Well, as I showed the eye today, I was kind of upset that you didn't link me to that next video because it now gives me more than one video. Because in the first video, I had mentioned that I didn't watch the video with the brother where he explained the Lion of Judah and it representing the right hemisphere of the brain. I don't know if the item can hear me.
I hear you clearly. We're hearing you clearly.
So I didn't watch that video, and now because Isern and a couple of the brethren was on the video, I think what's here on the next video, I kind of clip in and watch a little bit at a time, but I don't really have a full understanding of what the whole, because I kind of skipped through it because I realized there was a lot of different things going on in the discussion.
Okay.
And I as a man, were pressed for time all the time, right? So I say, all right, let me try to find out the gist of the argument. And it wasn't successful. So I'm not really sure of this whole metaphysical thing. So I would like to go back to the beginning of what it is we mean when we say we're seeing His Majesty through the lens of metaphysics.
Actually, it's not through the lens of metaphysics per se, right?
Okay.
We just have to understand the structure of things, right? We have to understand the structure of things. Now, this is the way I'm going to approach, giving you an idea of it.
Okay.
Now, you know a lot of people. You know location on the earth, places, everything. Right? The record of all them day is in your brain.
Correct.
Understand? So, okay, you know, I, son, if you're not seeing me like you're seeing me now, you
Right.
still know of
No, I
because
son.
I exist as something within your consciousness, right?
Right.
Seeing. So that's exactly what metaphysics be. So you gotta have the representation of the
So
person
hold on, hold
outside
on,
of
hold
you.
on, hold on, hold on. Just so that because what? I don't I son, I as a man, I don't like to misrepresent people.
Mhm.
And when they're talking and running off with their reasoning, I as a man that try to stick a point so that we are all on the same page.
Fair
So
enough.
that it don't just run. You know what I'm saying? Because it may seem natural to you. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, well then put your questions. We right here.
So so um when you go back to it's not metaphysical per se, right? And you
No, no,
say,
no. You were saying that we try to look at it through the lens
right,
metaphysics. So I'm not telling you that not so much so as a lens because I really something that I consider. Check for example, I'm an academically trained in metaphysics, right?
okay, got you.
Imhotep, he is trained in metaphysics. But what I realize about his learning, so far as I hear from him, is that his interpretation goes towards the anatomy of the human being, right? Like for example, the Lion of Judah, he will say is symbolic of the right hemisphere, the brain, right? My interpretation go beyond speaking about that anatomic
Anatomy
part,
of the human.
Anatomy.
anatomic part, and
Okay,
go straight towards what is inside of that part of the anatomy. And what is inside of the right side of the brains are all your spiritual thoughts, all your gift and them that make you develop poetry, prayer, reverence, religion, all thoughts pertaining to
right,
those matters are in that side of your brain.
right.
So when
So
I
now,
speak metaphysics,
no,
I
under,
speak straight to the thought itself and
I
not a
understand.
particular
So I
biological
understand.
part. Not biological, but
Yeah, I
anatomical
understand.
part.
I understand. But what I am trying to figure out
Uh-huh.
is what make the brethren
Mm-hmm.
come to that conclusion.
Who, me?
No, um, the brethren Imhotep.
No, I
Well,
think that's
no, so that you understand what I'm saying. The
okay.
brethren Imhotep also deals with the anatomy, but you take it deeper and say it's still the anatomy, but a deeper
Deeper level. Yeah.
Yeah.
level. So what I'm saying is,
Mhm.
before we get to the deepity, what I'm
Into
trying
laughing.
to find out,
Go DPD. Go
what
DPD.
I'm trying to find out
Um,
is where does these ideas stem from? Because a man can say the line of Judah represent the bird of flying at the sky, and the bird have a thinking where is like the hawk, and the hawk is symbolic to man intellect, and we could this is what I mean about philosophy. In the end, it doesn't really mean anything
No.
until
Okay.
you make it
Relay
mean
complete.
something. Because what? Up the other day, I was looking at a comment where you was telling Saya that is not so much you being in any order, but you would learn more about Rastafari out of the order. And I found that to be interesting
you know,
because what
just now,
because what Saya has found outside of the order doesn't agree with the other on any level.
Aku, that was actually one of the things I wanted to address during
Okay.
the reasoning. That comment that Ison made. But I'm just saying, when you give a bill, like pause, and if you can just let him respond, you know what I mean, and just have
I,
it
I,
going
I
back and
want him
forth.
to respond, but the question that I was asking is, where did the concept that the Lion of Judah has anything to do with anatomy stems from? And we could say we invented it, it's a new faculty of thought. We could say that. But we have to have some root to what we're saying, where we got it from, because the children are listening to us,
You
right?
lay cut. I mean, the question is already out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Now it's like this here. Let me put it in a damn formation. You get a man, brother.
Just
Right?
now, Ison just now, um, Aku,
Yeah, I listening.
yeah, the camera, I seen the camera real close up in your face. I seen you ain't really, you know, or if
Mhm.
it's as you're listening to it on a
Gotcha.
side, oh, it's stuck. Oh, it's
Yeah.
still
Stuck.
That's
okay,
what I
all
was
right,
saying.
okay, right, yes, just stay, yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah,
see.
because it wasn't fixed for a long time. I was telling you it was stuck for a long
Okay,
time.
all right, go through. Okay, Ison, you can go through.
Yeah. Why sure? Let me reason it this way, I get a man, brother.
Yeah.
Because me no honor that for me explanation no good now. I just have somehow for your head now open up and see it. But I'm gonna put it in this way, right? I'm gonna put it here this way. Yeah. If me put you for speak in the language of French, for example, right? Then
Yeah.
whatever I say a object means, that is what it would mean in word. So if I say a car is kaifu, for argument's sake, in French, I'm just being hypothetical here, right? Once you enter into the language of French and try understand me, a car with name kaifu, because we're in French. If you come out of French and you come into English, then it will name a car. You understand?
So
You can go into Hindu now. Let me make the connection for you. You can go into the Hindu tradition, and if they have any teachings specific like this, then the part that named the Lion of Judah would naturally carry a different name, but it symbolizes the same anatomic location.
all right,
You
Miller.
understand that?
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
say,
I
for
don't have a pen
example,
and a paper for actually take down what you're saying. So
wow.
I'm gonna keep mental notes and go back.
No. Let me try again. Why I said to the man, Bridget, you're asking the question where they come up with this notion that the right hemisphere of the brain is the Lion of Judah.
Have anything to do with
Hold on,
any god
hold
or
on,
deity.
hold on. You just now understand that this thing is man's creation. If at this one, I man try to get an example, like if we go in French and we say a cell phone named Kaifu, for example, and
Yeah,
that's the term we
that's
use
what
for it,
the
is it
name is in
our
French.
language inner? Well, we in the context of Judeo-Christian, and they use the term the Lion of the tribe of Judah to refer to the right hemisphere, the brain, but more importantly, the thoughts that are housed in that hemisphere.
Hold on 1 second. You say they refer to the Lion of Judah as the right hemisphere of the brain. Who are they is what I'm asking you, I sir.
We are speaking in the context of Judaism and Christianity. You go anywhere else and hear the term Lion of Judah outside of Christianity and Judaism?
But I never watch. I'm an Orthodox Christian.
Yeah.
I baptized in the Orthodox Church of Ethiopia, St. Mary of Zion in the Bronx. I
Okay.
baptized there.
Okay, and
And if Roman Christianity never mentioned this,
never
and if
mentioned what?
that the Christ figure, because the Lion of the tribe of Judah represents a name of Jesus Christ in the Bible.
Hold on now.
In the Bible.
If you want to understand, just say a little and allow me to speak. I have the overstanding. All right? Now,
So what are you saying? I don't have the overstanding by saying you have the overstanding. What is it you're really saying?
you're asking me the question. So you tell me who have the overstanding.
None of us, as far as I'm concerned.
I have the overstanding. That's why you're asking me the question.
What? As far as I'm concerned, we are both at understanding until we establish an overs.
Okay, let me bring in another bedroom. Let me bring in another bedroom there.
So I want to say that because it's
just
not
now, Akko, just now.
No,
Okay.
what I want to say is it's not Isern's word. I want to say that we are reasoning and no one has the upper. We don't want to talk in a condescending way to make anyone seem like someone is upper and someone is below.
No,
So we have to be wise in the words we are using because either man get agitated when Rasta try to pull them tricks.
A Rasta man I be ain't afraid of fire, so get agitated.
I just telling you how I am, sir. I know.
No problem. If you get sensitive, you're asking me a question, and I clearly am assuming the position of understanding it. Isn't it clear that I am the one who understands and you're trying to get the overs? I don't see that as condescending, really.
All right. No, let me just now. Peace, family. Obviously, in the reasoning, it's going to get heated, and the reasoning just start. You know what I mean? Just now, me say. What I'm saying is, to bring in another.
I've been tried to coals, juniper, and all kind of fire.
All right. Now, what I say now. So, now I bring it in.
I don't want to fire.
Aku, just now. Aku.
You know that. Right?
Aku. I like the fact that both of you can take the fire, right? I like that fact.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm bringing in another bedroom from my area, really. You know what I mean?
So he's going to make the conversation
just now,
worse.
I'm bringing another bedroom who found the discussion very interesting, and he basically had a tick to give, you know. So I'm bringing him on. His name is Ed. Yeah. It real dark there, like you see. But give tongue still. But what I'm saying, Ras Ison and Aku, don't let the little words or the little one to jabs throw you off the real main understanding. You check what I'm telling you? So I don't know who wants, because you asked, okay, what I will do, I will let Aku, yes, Ed, give thanks. I will let Aku ask the question again, and then I will let Ison give the response.
So before I ask the question, I want to be clear, right, on reasoning etiquette. I want to do that because if we don't do that, this is one of the problems Rasta have, which cause division within the houses. Because there's a lot of harsh reality and things that we need to talk about that a lot of us are not intellectually mature enough at the time to deal with. And there's a lot of loopholes that we as Rasta, I'm not gonna say we, but as Rasta,
speak freely. Can your heart keep telling you for say so?
Rasta have to fix it though. We can't.
We don't have to fix anything. First of all, you need to really appreciate the problem.
You never make no mistake. That means you never make no mistake.
Hold on, no.
Let him give his piece, Ako. Now, just now, I would just like to say in the reasoning yesterday, we was giving everybody about 2 minutes to build.
Okay.
And then the next person will come in. So we want to just give it a kind of order instead of the back and forth. So everybody can have an input.
Got it.
Right? So I said, go through.
Yeah. Fine.
Why you say, Jen? You see what I here for do right now, right? Is to help not only the man and the I'm on a reason with, right? But even throughout the community, particularly in our dadly. It's to help one to understand and appreciate what is like, what it entails, and what it look like at its final stage or its mature stage. Because you don't know when you grow up. You left from pick me, you come teenager, you come adult, and then you come more adult. You know, you're not on more stage above adult. You just mature at that level. You understand? So I man come for forecast what the adult state of the growth is in terms of the perspective that I'm bringing across. You over's why I suggest. So when we're talking about the Rasta situation, one of the first things you have to do is appreciate that the movement itself is evolving and growing mentally, and I'm here in a collective sense, mark you, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, the whole movement as a body, because the movement is a body, although many individuals. And that body is going through a process of growth. And you will
Okay.
see, and the measures of the growth will be seen in the manifestation of the youth and them, and how them they project the liberty. I'm going to show you the level of growth. You see where you're getting from I right now at this level, as opposed to where you know traditionally, that is the fulfillment and manifest itself in your face, and you'll hear one different reasoning now that you're calling new faculty. But this is the maturity of the process. So this is what the talk look like at a mature level. What I man speak. At least I say that worldwide, anyone feel free to come and challenge I on that.
Okay, well, let me give him a chance to respond. I will give it a chance to come and, have a
Yes,
bit.
sir.
I think you're gonna let
Marco, go through.
Ed speak now, or it's my
You,
turn.
it's your turn to respond. I don't know if you'd like to respond to what he said.
No, I don't really have a response because, as I said earlier, it's going back to the same thing. It's all about what makes sense to you as a Rasta. I'm trying to get an objective reality, not so much a subjective. Because something can mean something to you, and it may sound deep and great, but when you say the youth them in far eye is gonna take up this kind of thinking, right? What I see, right? There's no youths in a far eye no more. Is what I see. I see the elders holding on to ideas that is seemingly untrue. Yet they keep trying to make them true using metaphysics, Bible,
Leave the
and
elders
theology,
alone.
all kind
Let's
of.
now Ison. Let him give his bill, Ison. Let's now Ison. Yeah. You stop the echo or you still going through?
No, what I'm saying is that I see gaps being filled with confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when you have a belief and you go to look for information that confirms your belief instead of looking for information that falsifies your belief.
So when you're talking about falsifiability, now you're talking about the scientific method.
Not so much the scientific method, but just common sense. All of we as Rasta grew up. I don't know how deep the item was in Rastafari, but I used to go on my knees and pray to Haile Selassie.
But I used to do I used to do that.
So I don't know how deep the item was in the thing.
Yeah.
But I
But
can tell you, based on what I learned from a tradition that was around, I didn't just get these ideas of my own, right? And you declare that this is what you were doing too, and you gave at least a decade. to that, doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So this didn't drop out of the sky. It's somewhere you got this ideology and these concepts from. And I don't think that um, this new faculty of thinking is really taking hold on the greater majority of Rasta. I think it's just a plot to try to forget that one. Haile Selassie say he was related to Solomon. There's a bunch of lies that we all learn. And we can't go back and make metaphysical meanings to fit those gaps. We have to
Uh,
take responsibility now as elders and say, yo, all of that shit was bullshit. We now realize, okay, Ali Selassie was a man. He possibly died because there's still Rastas who believe that he's in the temple somewhere, right? So it's not. So
okay, let me.
I'm not saying something that's far fetched. This is something that the majority of Rastas are still dealing with.
All right, now let me now sit up there. I will give Ed a chance, and then I will give Ison back a chance, and you will come through again, right?
Right.
And I mean,
Greetings,
I'll
Ed.
interject.
I want to greet the eye Ed coming on the stream too.
Yeah, man.
First of
If
all.
true, Ed, you can go through.
Well, I think I'm. Well, I think I'm the last person to come on, and I'm trying to get a gist of what's going on. But I heard him say, well, I think Haile Selassie said he was not related to Solomon. Is that what you said, Aku?
No, what I was saying is that all Rasta come up under the belief that Haile Selassie was the 225th grandson, which gave him rights, divine right to the Davidic throne that he sat upon, which
Well,
which
you said,
ultimately adds to his divinity.
well, you said all Rastas, but I do not think that is correct because I'm not one of the Rastas that believe that Haile Selassie was related to Solomon. You understand? Because according to research, there was no such person as Solomon in history, and not only Solomon, but David and Adam and Moses. So to say that Haile Selassie, all Rastas believe that, that is incorrect. Yeah, and I
Well,
acknowledge.
Let him finish, Ako. Yeah.
well, I didn't really say all Rasta. What? So let me.
That's what.
You maybe you misunderstand what I said. So
Okay
I'm not
then.
saying all Rasta believe that. I'm saying that the ancient Rastaman in the ancient tradition of Rastafari, there is no way
Mhm.
you is a Rastaman and don't hear
Mhm.
that Haile Selassie is the 225th grandson
All right,
of
let
Solomon,
me let me.
giving him divine right to the Davidic throne. You
Okay
cannot
then.
escape that. Whether you believe it or not, it's a collective thought of
Uh-huh.
Rastafari.
All right.
I,
Sit up,
let,
Ako.
let, let me.
Let him give a response. Yeah.
Well, I listened to Ison a while ago, and Ison basically said that the movement is not static; it is dynamic. You understand? And the spirit of Rastafari has been there for a very long time, but it actually evolves, right? At one point in time, people used to see the divinity of Haile Selassie or acknowledge Haile Selassie through the Bible. And right now, we're at a stage where people, Rastas now, are saying, well, they do not need the Bible to actually prove the divinity of Haile Selassie. So it is something that evolves all the time, and life is always dynamic. You understand? At one point in time, Rastas were eating meat, and now you find Rastas say, well, they are vegans, right? Or they are italists. So you cannot expect a movement to stay at one stage all the time. It is a matter of growing, like I said a while ago, from a child to a teenager to an adult. You understand? So going back to Rastas in the 1930s and comparing the Rastas now to the that's not a good comparison at all. You understand me? And I told you at the beginning of the conversation, I do not use the Bible to acknowledge the divinity of Haile Selassie or to prove. I look at Haile Selassie for what Haile Selassie stood for, right? And the works that Haile Selassie performed. And deep within myself, my consciousness, I know that is the Almighty manifest in flesh to come to us now, to show us a way that we can follow. And I personally, I do not acknowledge or do not see Rastafari movement as the only movement for black people. For example, if I were in America, most likely I would have been a member of the Nation of Islam. You understand? Because what I do, I assess a movement based on what it actually does for our people. For example, the Nation of Islam, I will not prove whether what Elijah Muhammad said is correct concerning um, Islam, how he revolutionized Islam. I will look at what it actually did for black people in America. And it's the same thing for the Rastafari movement. You have to assess the movement based on what it has done to revolutionize black people's thinking,
So, in
to
your
deconstruct
assessment,
colonialism. That's how I
what
see
has
it. You
Rastafari
understand? It's not a
done
matter of
in
trying to
your
prove whether Haile
assessment?
Selassie is divine or
Just
not.
now,
Look,
yeah, you let him finish. All right,
mhm.
and I feel he was asking you something there, and
I
yeah,
just
What has
wanted
the
to
Rastafari?
interject to ask him in his assessment over the
What has
years, because I don't know how many years he's been a Rasta. So, in his experience, in his time as a Farai, what have you seen
mhm.
Rastafari has done? Because
Mhm.
because you use Nation of Islam, which is a great example because they have been
Well,
they have
what
cleaned
is
up a lot of
crazy is
black
that
people in America
huh?
and so forth.
let him. Ed, you have to let him finish. Oh, he dropped out.
He drop out.
Yeah, he will come back
He
in.
coming back, man. He coming back.
He must come back. Yeah.
So what I was asking him, Saya, is that he made a great point because if you're in America, um, you may gravitate to that as a black person because that seemingly to be the black organization that has a long-standing um, history in the community in America as far as helping black people. But for me, IMAN is an Ethiopian World Federation. And when I was a federation, we used to always say, oh come Prince Emmanuel never joined. Because the federation is older than Vernon Carrington, which is Prophet Gad. We started 1968, right? Bobo Shanti headline started 1958 at Bakawal, right? With Bongo Eddie, right? And and all of these orders at that time, we looked at it like all of these orders were the orders of men when we was honoring the king. The king sent an order to America. The king himself sent an order for black Americans here to join.
Mhm.
And there's actual video recordings of the long line of people signing up to go fight in the war in 1936, the Italo invasion. There was black Americans signing to go fight in the war because it represented a piece of black Americans having a sovereign nation somewhere. That's what it was the highlight of the time. That we had a king because before Haile Selassie, the only king people knew about was in cartoon on TV. Black people never actually seen an actual king before. So that was the highlight. But there was a lot of things going on with black liberation, with Marcus Garvey and him having some discrepancies. And within that discrepancy is where I think the black liberation part of Rastafari was separated from the movement. And I believe that even during the time of going to Orthodox Church, they were still black because they was focusing on a black Messiah. But I think what happened is they had a black Messiah with a white ideology.
Mm.
This is what I think happened within the movement. And I wouldn't blame it per se on Judeo Christianity. So I wouldn't blame it on Judeo Christianity. I would blame some of it. But I think that there was a segment of Rastas that wasn't dependent upon, as the Ed said, there was a segment of Rastas who didn't depend upon biblical scripture. But as far back as I go to the beginning of Rastafari doctrine, it was always biblical. And whether we're evolving to have a new idea and we're coming up with new faculties of thought, what I think we have to do is be responsible for the movement's activity through the evolution. Because although you and I, sir, may have came out of the web, a lot of Rastas are lost. A lot of them are lost because there's no central concise uh uh
Understanding or
understanding of the order of what makes a person a Rasta. If you ask 12 different man what make you a Rasta, they give you 12 different meaning. If you ask a Muslim what make him a Muslim, all of them agree. If you right, and I'm not saying that the Rasta shouldn't have that fluidity, but we should make it make sense, is what I'm saying. We shouldn't be different without a reason. We
all
should
right.
be able to say, all right, we are this way because, and it shouldn't go off into some thing where nobody else understand other than Rastafari. We should be able to explain ourselves to the world, and it makes sense.
All right. I don't know if I still know Ed want to go through.
But
Yeah.
Let Ed speak,
huh?
brother. Let Ed speak.
Well, I okay then. You said all a lot of Rastas are lost, right? And if you ask 10 Rastas why they are Rastas, they will say, well, they'll give maybe 10 different reasons. But that doesn't mean that they are lost. You understand?
No,
I wouldn't say that.
no. So I want, I want, I want, I want. I don't want it to start to misrepresent what I'm saying because that's not what I said. What I was saying in my reasoning is that Rastas are lost. And I'm not saying because you ask 10 different Rastas, they give you 10 different. What I'm saying is there's no centralized conciseness in a Rastafari. So if you were to ask, so I ask you and I ask Isern right now, Ed, what makes the I a Rastaman? And Isern, what makes the I a Rastaman? Yeah, I leave it there. I ask
you
him a
want me to answer
question.
that question?
Yeah, I want you ask and then
Well, okay, I will
Isern.
answer that. Well, okay, I will answer the question. What makes me a Rastaman is acknowledging the divinity of Haile Selassie. That's what makes me a Rastaman. That's the primary reason that I'm a Rasta. And because of that, I will act and behave in certain ways, right? Because
Okay,
of me acknowledging the divinity of Selassie.
okay.
It will cause me to
I
act and behave in certain ways.
got you. I understand.
That's my reason.
So Isern,
Yes, sir.
what makes the I a Rastaman?
We're gonna be real with you. I completely concur with what Ed said because the name Rastafari come from this person. So only if you see the divinity of His Majesty, you understand, if you acknowledge the divinity of His Majesty, that you are a Rasta.
Okay, I
The
understand.
primary, that's first base. How you
over.
since
I
Rasta,
over.
Rasta as I think you just say should have this fluidity, right?
Right.
That fluidity allow me to go outside of the basic teachings in the
Understood.
Bingi and so on, in
Understood.
order that I can realize growth. Because I realize that within the structure, in terms of what we teach, we do not have that kind of support.
Got you. I understand
You
that.
understand? We don't have that kind of support. We don't have teachings. Let me tell you something. Going, when you go to a church of any kind of any religion, it is always about your spiritual growth.
Yes.
Understand? It always be about that. You
Yes.
see? When you're at the level of one youth, your perspective could be like one youth. Look at how big man you be and how much gray you have. Once you start one journey, you say you're going to come into realization of yourself via a religion of some kind, you're going to have the mindset and perception of a youth, of life, of the religion, of everything.
Over.
Only when you grow to a point of maturity, which is when you start to realize spirit, that you would really get a true scope and understanding of what it is you're dealing with. And that what will cause whole conversation in terms of whether you interpret by literal and all them something. Which, by the way, Ed says something that I might want to emphasize on a little bit.
So can I interject one more time? Just one more time.
Forward.
So where does His Majesty divinity stem from?
It stems from the fact that he's a king. You heard me?
So you have wicked kings too, man. That not make you divine because you're a king. You have wicked kings all over the world.
Well, what you need
That's
to
my
learn now.
point with you. So now, Ed,
No,
where
run
does
down
His
the road. Stay
Majesty
here, stay
divinity
here.
stem from?
Where you going? Stay
You-
with me.
Yes,
Just
You
now,
make a bad point. You make a bad point, I sir.
Pardon?
You say
No, me
because
not
he's
make
a
bad
king.
point. Are you for listen to counteraction and humble yourself?
You say because he's a king, that not make a man divine.
just now, let
Humble
Ison,
yourself
let
and listen.
Ison,
I tell
let
you, because
Ison,
I am the Rasta, you
just
done
now,
left the flock.
just now, let Ison let Ison give his rebuttal, and then Ed will come in after. Ison, give your rebuttal to what he said.
Now, what you need to understand, because divine kingship as an order was created in the Nile Valley in Kemet, right? So the position of king and something that people just get up and take up. It comes from a process of thinking. And the thinking behind that is that the seat of the king is a divine status. It's a symbol. The difference is the individual that are going into the throne is an individual. So if he no reach a full point, a kingship within a full own consciousness, if he no realize full divinity, the own consciousness, then he will not project divinity from the throne, but the throne itself symbolize. And this is what I try to get across in these many reasoning. The importance of symbolism. You understand? The throne, anywhere you go and meet it, it is a divine concept. So by virtue of a man or a king, there's a suggestion that divinity is attached. How he as an individual, however, in his own personal growth and realization, come to the point of being divine or living the divine from within himself is a separate issue to the fact that the throne symbolizes divinity. Can you overs me with that?
No,
Why not?
because he's a Christian king on a Christian throne.
So what Christian has to do with it?
Wait a minute, I sir. Named through a Christian divinity. So, if sitting on a throne makes you divine, you have many Christian kings. You have kings that were on the throne of Ethiopia before Haile Selassie. So it wouldn't be specific in any way. I tried to explain this to you before, I CERN.
But who's talking about specific anyway?
It's not intrinsic to Rastafari.
What are you talking about? So what?
What I'm saying is that he sits on a Christian throne.
So what?
So making the throne a part of his divinity, you cannot leave out that he was a devoted Christian.
What that has to do with anything?
So the throne argument that you was presenting.
Oh no, you're not ready for me.
No, what I'm saying is the throne argument that you was presenting has no relation to the Davidic throne and its relation to Ethiopian culture. It's
Ed,
something you are making up.
Ed,
Yes.
if you want to make a go at this, please interject at this point, because I think respectfully, Aku.
Yeah, man,
I think
respect.
you're out of your depth.
You go ahead. Yeah, man, respect you, love and
You're out of your
respect.
depth.
You go ahead.
Ed, you see what you
Yeah,
can do.
man, you go ahead.
What make you said Selassie sits on a Christian throne, right?
I'm
There's no
saying
doubt
the
about
throne doesn't make him divine.
No,
So
but
the question was, where does his majesty divinity stem from? I said because he sits on a throne and tried to legitimize it, and I'm saying it's a Christian throne. And I feel that was a weak argument. Because if you're saying just because a man sits on the throne makes him divine, that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't sit with me well.
But
so I'm
hear what I'm saying, Ako.
Yeah.
Ed dropped out. Ed dropped out of the stream. I don't know what difficulty he's having with his phone there. But I see Ison a bit frustrated with the idea, not wanting to take.
No, he's not interested in learning anything.
No, but then Ison, he might say it, but
I
but
feel
listen,
like I'm wasting my
Ison,
time with my explanation, to be honest.
But listen, Ison. In the balance of things, he might be saying the same thing about the eye, that you're not willing to learn.
Correct.
Learn what?
Nothing of what I'm trying to tell the eye.
Then he would have to demonstrate his level. Then I will humble myself to him.
But I, sir, you never demonstrate your level for me to humble to the eye.
No, you cannot see me.
This is what the brethren is trying to explain to the eye.
You cannot see me.
Huh?
You cannot see me. You will never understand me, because you are not at that place in yourself to overstand.
So this is what I was explaining from the beginning of the argument, that we don't want to talk.
I have to be real with you like that.
We don't want to talk in this type of manner. This is what I tried. This is why I went off on a tangent in the beginning side and tried to make us not go down this road.
You're demonstrating it. I have to be real with you.
Because what? You know what they call it? They call it the no true Scotsman fallacy. That's what they call it.
The what?
The no true Scotsman fallacy. It's a logical fallacy that asserts that, and watch, Sire, I guarantee you've heard this before. You wasn't in it long enough to actually know what Rastafari is really about. That's the no true Scotsman. It's a Scotsman telling another Scotsman he's not a true Scotsman because he didn't go through the same experience as him. But at the same time, they will explain the fluidity in it and say, yeah, man, every man has his place. But when you don't agree, then what happens is you didn't reach my level.
No, I just say it again that you get it good. Because you put your own twist on things. You like this, right? Now, you have been going at me now, not just for tonight, trying to ask me questions. And I've been answering you as clear and as pellucid as I can. And yet still, you do not have an inkling. At this point now, I cannot say anything further to you. Because you will never oversit. You oversit, I say? You look at it as a disrespect. I look at it as a reality. I don't feel encouraged to continue to try and make you understand, because I already see by my many attempts that you're not seen at that level. Right. I'm sorry to put it in those terms.
I get it. I get it, Esther. What? I get it. Because as the brethren was saying a while ago, so I said to you, it could be said of the same thing to the eye. But what
I don't mind that. You demonstrate your superiority in the reasoning.
Stop, Missy. Peace. What I'm saying again, right? As I said yesterday, if everybody agreed on the same level, there would be no need for reasoning.
Right.
In my view, I certainly saying that the understanding he has of Rastafari. I'm hearing an echo, man. Let me mute everybody. Yeah. I certainly saying that in his understanding, the understanding he has of the movement, right? He would deem the mature level. Now, yesterday I highlighted to him that some other Rastas would find that condescending, because we had a typical example with Aku, with Akuma, that say that this understanding is kind of a new age thing. You understand? So then Aku now, which was there in the very first part, and I even saw even from the very first part, Ras Ison, like the energy wasn't too there, because the thing is, Aku has trod the order. And like he said, it appears that, because I get that kind of energy from Rastas already, is like, you used to trod the order, you're not treading it again, so it's like you don't really know, And the level that Ison is saying that he is at with that understanding, I'm saying Aku now can say he's at a level with his understanding, because he's seen, he has trod the order, he left, and he has experience outside of the order. So the two intellectual giants in regards to the different spheres of understanding will be having that discussion, that debate. So the questions, because I told you, Ison, Aku likes to ask questions. If you try and say the kind of way, like he will, to bring, because the critical analysis. Now, I know at times it is very frustrating, because you even get to a point and you say, like, you haven't seen no point in really continuing the whole vibe. You know what I mean? That's how far it has gone. You know what I mean? But I see, like, honestly, in my view, a lot of what the bedroom is asking, those are things I ask myself already. I was humbling and keeping quiet and letting the item have the discourse. But them things I ask myself already, and reason even within myself. But again, emotion, being emotionally attached to something as well, certain responses. But I just want the thing to just flow nice, Missy. The hit, some people love it, and sometimes we like a little contention. I want to read some of the comments there, Yeah, I didn't read the comments last time. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me I just want to say a few words. Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I'm a young, if enough for them things, yeah. The man wouldn't nearly call I elder. But then they come really fast and you check yeah. But Iman chatting around the turn of 1990, right? And I man a warrior when it come to reasoning. I man come up with a zeal. You understand? I a warrior when it come to reasoning. And this is not just battle all the way. I came out, I stand out because of the way I come into Rastafari as one person that even plenty youth come to for ask questions because I read a lot and then figure where they can get the answer from me. You understand? So over the years, I'm very, very experienced in reasoning with people. I love reason and I'm patient too. Even if my heat up so you can bring me back to the ground and I'll run another 10 miles. You understand what I say? But I come up also doing all of that. I learn through experience to know whenever I should perhaps just leave whatever word I give to a person with them and end the conversation there, or if I can continue to go on and on with them. I learn to see the signs by reasoning with people. So basically what's going on with me and Aku at this point is I'm an attempt every time very willingly to give the explanation. It seemed almost fixed-minded. So somehow nothing whatsoever seemed to appeal or make any sense to him. So at that point now, for me, it's time to just leave that story alone, not to continue to do that. If it's a situation where the person say, okay, I understand that, but what about this? And we're going like that and that. I can go on like that to eternity. No problem. And I now ask you for just overstand, come and say so, becoming a lobbyist man neither. If you don't overstand, you don't overstand. You see it? But at the same time, when you're in the position that you're the one not understanding what somebody else is saying, I man learn this as one soldier in the reasoning. You humble yourself and understand, yo, you're a little bit out of gun, so to speak, in the fact that, listen, you seek the clarity from this person. It means that you do not have it for yourself. So if that is the scene, give the necessary respect and play the student role in that moment. 1 minute after that, me can be the student. And there's something that Aku they reason about that he just more depth about the matter than me. And me now if I ask Aku some question, and when he answer now, then I say, okay, respect Aku, I say that. And be the student. Because every man is a student and every man want to teach at the same time. So when you're in a reason like this, a man have to talk then with it to you, man. Lion up. I'll go back your lax if you lose the lion.
All right. Let me let him give a rebuttal then.
Hey, what? Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, what? Look, check this out. I know that when you cook, the best part of the pot come up to the top. When the water bubble and the froth come up to the top, that is the best part of the cooking, right? So I like when the pot bubble, brother. Right? So my questions, right, comes in a Socratic method to make the pot bubble, brother. I want you to overstand, right?
Well, all right, Lion. Well, when you hear I speak now,
What?
man, I want you come with no little weak speech, but that's condescending. Be one soldier and man up in here.
But what? But what?
Me a soldier, if you say anything to me.
But what? In saying that,
Uh-huh.
you're still saying it in a condescending manner.
What you mean?
And what? This, right, is typical of Rasta. Especially when, as
Like you have a whole mountain of stone which you are Rasta jet.
as Sam said, especially when they know you was a Rasta man. Cause you mentioned, you see what you mentioned? Grow your locks back.
Yeah, man, you lose the lion, Rasta.
So you cannot deny it, whether you admit to what we're saying within your action as a Rasta man.
Well, this is what I will say to the man, Bridget.
I'm not finished.
Okay, respect. Go through.
It shows the behavior. It shows that a Rasta will defend Haile Selassie like a Christian will defend Jesus. To that level. And to the point where they'll begin to insult you and think that it's okay. This is the mindset. Look, I went back to Bubble Hill as a bald head just to test it. Me went back just to test it myself. And I'm telling you, every look, I was 12 tribe, I was Bingy, I baptized in Church of Haile Selassie on North Strand and Marcy. I baptized Orthodox Church, right? I was Federation, right? So everywhere that I went back, where all of my developed friendship in Rastafari was, I could see, I could feel it.
You should feel it.
Right?
I said,
You should feel it.
And what?
You're the one
And
that
what?
changed. You
And
expect people to relate to you the very same way
And
when
what?
you're the one that make the change.
And what?
It's not
Look,
realistic. Why are you
And
getting non sensitive? Be secure in what
you
within
see,
the choice you have made.
it's mad now.
Be secure in the choice that you have made.
It's mad
Where you
now.
expect from we? Where one from we?
It's mad now. And that's what I tell her. It's mad now.
You
yeah, man. He's
you
safe. He's
cannot
safe.
get I man upset. You're not
Be
strong
mad,
enough.
Hey, you know what them call it?
Mhm.
Upset.
Yeah.
When you put set up, yeah, that's it. That's
Okay.
it. When you put set up.
Yeah, what I can say for you with that? You're by the statement that you're
I
sure
was laugh.
you're sure the
That's
rest
what I
you're sure
tell
the
you.
rest in you. You're sure
I
the rest
have
in
to-
you
I
by
have
the
to say it.
statement.
I have to
That
say
is
it.
very typical.
Watch.
That is very
I was
typical.
where you were. You were never where I was. I'm gonna say it again. I was where you are and left. You never was where I've been.
Where I am. Where I am.
So
Hold
what
on,
to
listen.
say now?
That one's strong, eh?
Where am I at?
That one heavy, eh? That
Oh,
one
what is
heavy.
that?
I will
Yeah,
like,
baby,
that one
punch it,
heavy.
master.
The
That
one
one
that
heavy.
heavy, like a brick.
Jawish. A baby punch
Yeah,
your
talk
fire.
to me, Jarvis. Talk to me.
A baby punch your fire day.
I was where you are and
A
left
baby punch your
years
top.
ago, and you still never reached where I left from.
I'm not feeling you.
And you never been where I'm at. You never
I'm
been
not
where I'm
feeling
at.
you. I'm not feeling you. I'm hearing you, but I'm not feeling you.
Okay.
You
All right.
play a good game of
So
politics with your words.
now I could say, you're not at my level, I son.
You can say it.
Just like how you said it,
But head
Yeah.
out,
you could say it with conviction.
head out,
All right.
Missy. I don't want the discussion to turn to a measure
could
of
say it
dicks, really.
With
understand?
conviction.
To me,
Where I am,
we
Yeah.
reach. You never
straighten
been.
up the topic. We straighten up the
Yeah.
topic. We straighten
So-
up
Put
the topic.
something in.
So let's go back. Let's go back
Go back where?
to what makes this particular man divine. Let's go back there.
Brethren.
Haile
You
Selassie
see?
himself tell you he wasn't divine.
Who?
So you
How
can't
much questions you have? How much questions you have?
listen what I'm saying. I'm talking,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna let you talk. Rasta cannot make a man who did not see himself divine. You can't make a man divine. The man never seen himself divine. He was a devoted Christian.
What does that mean?
All of what we want to look. If you want to be 100%, Rastas cherry pick what they believe, because Haile Selassie, we would say, yeah man, you have to follow the king, man. But no Rasta no follow the king. I'ma show you why. One, you're not a Christian. You never baptized. Me baptized.
So what led you to go and
That's
baptize?
one.
What led you
That's
to go and
one.
baptize, Aku?
I don't even
Aku,
want to know.
Hold
Aku,
on, hold on. Let me point
I
out.
want to know, but I want to know. I want to know. Aku,
You
after
never followed
having
the
tried,
king.
Aku, listen. After having been through the different mansions in Rastafari, what
Yeah.
led you to go and be baptized? Like why? Like why?
No,
did
I
you think-
was baptized first because I always was of the notion that if you are follow the king, you're supposed to do what the king do. So when I left 12 tribe is when I was baptized before I went to Bobo.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I was baptized because I was always on the path. Bobo was the last of my Rastafari.
Okay. I think I still want to say something in regards to what you said.
All right. Let me get the new age metaphysics, so I call we.
See the blood clot new age thing. You see?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the new age metaphysics. I'm gonna give you. Hear me out, Lion. Hear
New
me out,
age thing,
Lion.
brother.
Hear me out, Lion. Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm gonna give you now. I'm gonna give you now the new age metaphysics.
Ball, already judgment ball.
No,
Earthquake,
just
pana,
tell me when you're ready, Vice.
Let him finish, Aku. Aku, let him give his deliberation.
When you're ready, ready. All right.
Yeah, that's Ison. Go through.
Now, let me give you the new age metaphysics to what he say about Father the King. Now, obviously, at his level, he was regarding the king literally as God. So he followed the person of his majesty in getting baptized and all these kind of things because you want to do exactly everything that the king does. You understand? The new age meditation is this. When we're following the king, we're not following his personage. We are following him as he is symbolic of the divine in consciousness. So we actually are following divine. We actually are following the divine.
Yes, now, Aku.
You understand? And every human being, every single one, whether you're Christian or not, come here talk some confusion. Every single human being is also have that divine potential within them. You understand? Every human being.
All right. I think you have something to say,
So
Ison. Let
following
him
the
give
king
up.
for me, following the king for me, just to be
Yeah, go
fine,
on.
man, I can speak.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
Following the king for me is about following the divine principles. His Majesty is an Ethiopian. Me live down here in the Caribbean now, and I Orthodox and all and someday. Where you want me follow? Me a Rasta. But I'm following the divine principle, which is the true king. Because in metaphysics now, the truth rules supreme in consciousness.
All right. Let him.
And
I
his
feel he wants to
majesty is
give.
a symbol of the truth.
Ed keep
But
dropping,
here
man.
you
Every
go
time
now.
Ed come, Ed keep dropping. Yeah, go
I
through,
said,
Aku.
you ever go 9 to 10 miles outside of the bloody city of Bull Bay? You ever been there before?
I don't have to.
No, I asking, I'm not saying if you have to.
I never been to Jamaica, brother. Never been to Jamaica.
Okay.
And place there, well,
All right.
I don't know. I never have a heavy urge to Jamaica
would you
like
say
that.
Rastafari started in Jamaica? Would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, man.
Okay. So, with agreeing with that, wouldn't you say that in order for you to really, really, really get the fullness, you would have to go Jamaica at least?
No, because I'm following the divine. And it is omnipresent. It's in me. All I have to do is follow the principle, brethren. This will make sure that I am a brethren. This is why I have to calm down and try to just tune into what the Rasta man is saying.
No, what I'm saying, son, you don't think that along with doing that on a spiritual level, that there's a certain amount of discipline that one has to undergo to actually know about the order?
When you say know about the order, what you mean?
I mean, live it.
The order really is natural now, because the order is a spiritual life and there's a process that you walk within yourself.
Yeah, but you agree that Rastafari start in a Jamaica, and then you agree say you never go there. So you as a Rasta, if I was a Muslim, I would say shit. Muslim is a thing started at the east, so I want to experience that, like how Malcolm X went to the east and he came back with a different view, because when you travel, you traveling kind of changes the way you see the world, gives you different outlook on the world. So that is why I ask you, not so much to uh to say that you had to travel or none of that.
Okay. Okay, let me get a man a reason. Let me
But
get
do
a man
you
a
agree
over.
that
So
there's a certain amount of discipline that
no.
one learns, Farai, being within the order, differently from a man that never really was in the order, and he's telling you and he's redefining things and he's making up all these things. He never really trod the order.
No, brother. We have to understand what is what, right?
Okay.
When we go to
Let him respond, Uncle.
any religious organization, I may generalize it now even beyond Rasta, and whether you go up above go learn the discipline and whatever. When you deal with any religious order, it is always about you coming to know yourself, discover your spiritual self. Because until you come to know yourself spiritually, you cannot claim divinity, because your flesh not divine. You understand? Walk with me.
I believe that we was telling man that man is God in flesh, but we really didn't understand that. We still was seeing God outside of ourselves. This is what I really believe.
What you say about the order that the man of reason pan is this: I follow the divine. The particular discipline, whether it be Bobo, Naya, Bingia, whatever the church is a means to which I get to involve in rituals and things like that aid me to come to that point of realization spiritually. That's what they are for. If I am in Antigua, therefore, right, and I am Rasta by cultural identity, I'm an a Rasta.
I understand that.
What do you mean? Rasta is a culture, isn't it?
So you had to be entrenched within a culture already, and then become enlightened into this new cultural idea, which is Rastafari. But there was something underlying that you grew under. Maybe it was St. Lucia culture, or like African American culture. There's something that's underlining. We were never without a culture.
No, but I'm not understanding what you're referring to in making that point.
I'm saying that when you came, you had to come to the realization of this ideology.
Oh, yes, I did it here. There's a Naya Bingi here.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if Rastafari started in Jamaica, there's Naya Bingi in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it? It's kind of like the Shaolin Temple. If you want to know about that thing there, you have to go to Shaolin Temple.
No, hold on there, quickly.
All right.
You're confused two things. If I want to learn about the Bingi order, and we don't have a good enough one in Antigua or whatever, we don't know anything about order, then I can go down to the Mecca and check out the culture, because you have to understand, every spiritual movement have the aesthetic.
Right.
The interbound chalice and herb and them someday. Christianity and them into a different set aesthetic on the surface. But both organization is about, at least the intent is to bring people into a spiritual relationship in themselves. You understand?
Okay.
So
Question.
To go to Jamaica would be for me to familiarize myself with the Rasta culture as is in Jamaica. But it be nothing to me in terms of qualifying me as Rasta, authentic. are even
Got you.
authoritative in
So
Rasta.
I son, I overs you. I over. So I son, look, Vernon Carrington, right?
Uh-huh.
Prophet God,
Mm-hmm.
12 tribe.
True.
Bongo Eddie, Bobo Shanti.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the leader of the Naya Bingiada?
I ain't involved in that kind of speech, no. Because I don't recognize no leader, no Naya Bingi, no.
But all organizations have a doctrine and a leader. All of them.
I know no Naya Bingi for be organized, you know, with like church council, where they say they have a president that is over all of, okay, I say just like in the church system. They might have
No,
one
that's not
certain
what I'm saying, Masai son. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, who set up the order of the Bingi to say, we read this, we don't do this, we do this, but we don't do that. It had to be established by
Yes,
someone.
yes, agreed.
We know Bobo Shanti who did it. We know 12 Tribe who did it. We know House of Dread who did it.
Mhm.
I'm asking because I've never known this.
The reason in them that I've heard, one seem to credit Bongo Watto, Bona G's,
Okay,
to be the person that, you know, head the Bingi sect. Because
okay,
you used to have Bongo Eddie, as the man put him, that Prince Emmanuel, correct?
correct.
Right. Prince Emmanuel and Bongo Watto, Bona G's, and
Yeah, it was best
Brethren
friend.
used to be a part of our organization called the Youth Black Faith.
Yeah, that's
Right?
been the beginnings. Youth
Yeah.
Black Beard.
And it when then split from there now that Bongo Eddie go and farm the Bobo Shanti. And the presiding elder remain in the Nyabingi section to be Bona G's, as I understand it.
Okay.
So
So,
if you're, but in the Bingi order throughout, nobody speak in terms of like a special homage to Bongo Watoka he start Bingi section. Nobody into that. Me just happen to know the history. Me tell plenty of
so,
Rasta that in the
so
Bingi family would be able to tell you.
so the 99 Bingy chants was written by Ivi, I, and your brethren.
Brethren, I don't even know. You give me news.
Yeah, the 90, you could look it up. 99 Naya Bingy chants was written by Ras Ivi.
Uh-huh. But I know Ivi meet him personally.
Yeah, you know him. You
Conference and
know
so, yeah.
Ivi.
Mm-hmm.
He write the Bingy chant.
Saying. At least those that we create, you mean?
Yeah, he not to say he created the Bingy order, because the order was, they were using Christian songs, adding the king in replace of Jesus.
Right.
We were saying Negus instead of Jesus. And then yeah, this is what we were doing. And then it changed to Highly High King Selassie trying to fit it in. And then it kind of clashed up when Nilly Vanilli said that Jah forget thrown in the fire. And Nilly Vanilli today, right now, today,
Mm-hmm.
is a certified madman. And I him teach Bongo Wato for throw Jah in the fire.
Saying. Yeah, the man relate the history there before. So
He's
yeah,
look,
go on.
ask
Bring a
anybody about
focus
him.
that
You
we
say
can
the
continue.
Rasta man on Utica Avenue with the big picture of Haile Selassie was standing at the middle of the street. Everybody know him in Brooklyn.
Saying.
Everybody in Brooklyn know him.
Saying.
That's how famous he is, but they know him as that instead of him because he was trying to take over the Bingy House. He actually went to Jamaica and got some paperwork until they find out that he had some type of mental illness, which prevented him from being able to be in any organization. Because one of the things in a Rastafari is you can't sit down as an elder on the panel if you have some type of mental problem. If
So
they,
why you saw the need to bring this guy up though? So what was
because
the
I bringing this up because I think the Bingi house was destroyed by a madman.
The Bingi was not destroyed, brethren.
Yeah, because once them throw because when Haile Selassie come to Jamaica, a jar the man them a say. So if he turn around and said throw, and at one time the word Jah mentioned in the Bible, Psalm 68, verse 2, you know. At
No.
one
I know
time the
one
word
place, but I
mentioned.
remember the other. There's a
At
place
one
somewhere
time
in
that word
Exodus
them
too,
mentioned
but
in the Bible.
I
So
remember that thing.
it played an intricate part of the movement to say Jah. And why I bring that up is because I think some of the evolution that we're making in the far right tradition is not only uncalled for, but it threatens the actual root of the order. It removes the foundational root of what Rastafari stood for.
What is it? What are these things that you see?
Rastafari was a political movement, yet still non-political. But the basic tenets was hungry fed, naked clothed, sick nourished, ate protected, and infants cared for. Rasta has not done any of that in over 100 years. They haven't set up nursing homes. They haven't set up educational facilities. They have, when you say hungry fed, we haven't fed no hungry. Many of us are hungry. Sick nourished, we can't, enough of I and I sick. So
Wait.
the creed is what the creed.
Is this, hold on.
So
Let me see if we
I want to
understand.
say one thing. I want to say one thing, Ras Isar.
Uh-huh.
The question that I was asking the item of what makes a man a Rastaman. At the point where I realized that I was no longer fulfilling Rastafari creed, is when I cut my locks off. Is when I realized that I wasn't in a position to even begin to fulfill the creed. And many of it was because my bongo locks, you can't get a job. You can't even begin to get to the point because you barely find 10 Rasta man will work.
What world you live in, a Rasta?
I live
As
in
you
a
go on in America around you?
I live in a Bobo Shanti order life. The man them up in Jamaica for real where it started. The man them no work. The man that work for Jah.
Oh, okay. No, I understand you. I think you mean like socially and so on. Sorry.
The man that rather sell nuts than go to school because them burn pencil and paper. It's an old school tradition where Rasta
Brethren,
said,
I'm
throw
not
away
even
pencil and
sure.
paper and
Hear
let's
me out
come up
there.
with metaphysics. Burn out the education and let's make a new way of thinking. This is
Brethren,
what we keep doing.
this is what I try to ask the man for some
And we get
let him give his rebuttal, Ako, let him give his rebuttal, or he was coming to say something. And
yeah.
Ed, I say Ed this so long.
Listen.
Even, yeah.
Yeah. Ed didn't know.
Brother,
Didn't know.
brother, the man and they exercise yourself, some things and so that I guess with the greatest intention the man and they might be doing that. But I'm not sure at all if that kind of approach even make any kind of sense. You cannot curse the ignorance of your youth to exalt the intelligence of your adulthood. You speak to a level, right, in terms of the growth of the movement that is basically childlike, more or less. This let me try and point out a couple of things that man learn, right? A couple of things that me learn in the whole process of things, right? every single person that come a Rasta man, he go through a growth process. And in that growth process, he can reflect ignorance from the onset, burn everything, do that, all them kind of extreme kind of thing. All that apart are your child state. You just born, you cry profusely, and I like your way that you ain't no danger or nothing. You understand what I say? So you deal with, you describe things, manifestations that are really youthful in terms of the movement expression. You understand? Me sure you really are so productive for keep harping and keep throwing stone back on these things that inside the movement.
You have
Simply recognize that, listen, these things manifest as a result of such. One of the things that I man come to see, and I've been alluding to them over the conversation, is that Rasta don't really control information for them members that are come through. I want to have a system set that we control information.
Yeah, man. Rasta control information, man.
Brethren, if you make if you do a census across the globe, right? If you do a census across the globe with all the Rastas and them, you know, about what particular teaching them come through in them growth, you will not find all of them come through on basic teaching. Because man declare Rasta in all kind of way. Some man deal with Bible, period. You understand? Some deal a little bit with Bible. Me don't meet man that a Rastafari them be. And them totally in terms of the ritual that they exercise on a daily basis. A Shiva and them Indian something. Man come and bring it over there and so read my personality before me in the cards. I meet Rasta man who practice them culture day as them ritual. Right now we have plenty man that say Selassie and Rasta and so on. And the whole ritual order that them follow are strictly Kemetic. And yet still, a Selassie a His Majesty. You understand? So we don't have no firm structure that say, hey, when you come to Rasta as an order, you go to this level of teaching, that level of teaching for bring you up into adulthood or spiritual realization. I want to have one educational structure, one spiritual educational structure that lay out the teaching like that. So if you come to Bingi now, you come to just like when Pickenegger, yeah, Pickenegger watch cartoon and things, Bugs Bunny real. They're at the youth stage. But as they grow more and more, then get to understand more and more, realize that Bugs Bunny is real and what reality really is. The analogy and the process of growth in the Rastafarites is like that. It's naturally like that. You start off and you have ignorant notions and all the rest of it. But through your own personal growth, it's supposed to bring you to a point of confronting certain questions inside yourself about this thing that you're dealing with. Certain things that just appear to be inadequate. Certain things in your mind about the movement that you now see manifest could be big question in your mind that you could come up with. And you yourself now are going to do some soul searching and most likely come up with the way. The way have sometime going to have to be that you the one that had the experience. I going to have to set a certain example by the understanding you gain. Which just like how we let them plant the seed and people go off of them knowledge day and them information day. Whatever you forward within your reason as you learn within the experience, once it resonates, once people can see, then naturally you will set a new standard. You will bring the teaching up to a different level. You will bring the whole experience up to a different level. Rasta will be known according to the expression of the people in them who are Rasta. And people will express according to their point of awareness and how they mature and how they grow. This is the reason why you can see a person like me, who most ones now look upon as being different, like my position like in novel. What I am showing you is a different level of experience of the Rastafari. You know, your mic off.
All right, respect, I said. Respect. Yeah. Let me interject this too.
No problem. I'm on
Um,
Good Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if the bedroom is still there. Oh, I should probably let Ed say something before I interject. Guys. Ed, go through, King. Ed, go on now.
oh yeah, fulfill the creed of Rastafari because hence the reason why I think he said it's top of his lungs. But I think what people have to understand is that at the inception of the movement, Rastafari was already doing a lot of progress, especially at Pinnacle, where that creed was being fulfilled or would have been fulfilled. But you find the system never left Rastafari untormented, right? And from that time, even now, Rastafari people were always tormented. Even the individuals were unable to get a job in society. So hence the reason why, in that sense, Rastafari was not able to fulfill that creed. You understand? And it was not any problems with the individuals. It was a problem with the system, how the system attacked Rastafari and tried to destroy Rastafari as much as possible. You understand me? Yeah.
I guess you. All right, cool.
In,
There's a bedroom that asked I just catch it there. He asked a question in the thing there. In Rasta's evolution, can the following be relevant or in existence without the interjection of Selassie?
well, if your name, if you're gonna be called Rasta, His Majesty automatically have to be in for you to carry that particular name. There is
All
no
right.
Rasta without His Majesty.
Okay. Now that now would kind of attach to what it is I was going to say. Because you now said that um, within your evolution of Rastafari, your how you perceive His Majesty has sort of evolved, right?
Right.
Okay. In my evolution, because I was giving you my experience, right? We were reasoning, I was giving you my experience and vibe. And then you told me you would still consider me as Rasta. But then, if one of the notions is that, you know, to see that divinity of Selassie, and then we are excluding the biblical term, because mind you, when I just came onto the vibe when I was shooting a couple bedrooms, you know, the deeper levels, everybody shunned me and ostracized me. So that's why I'm telling you now, I personally will not consider myself Rastafari, although you still deem me that way because of even the receptiveness, because the majority in Rastafari do not share the same view. Now, I understand that I now is on a quest, right? You made that plain that you are on a quest to push it out in the public, right? In the public eye for them to really get that understanding, you know, and hopefully evolve. You have taken on that cross, for lack of a better term. But I will not really um, do that because I realize in the evolution, it made me realize a lot of Bedouin that call themselves Rastafari are actually very religious because you get that with religious people a lot. When you tell them, okay, say you have a Christian and then somebody play with like, they're not Christian again, they're not believing in Jesus again. The whole Christian society will actually shun them and ostracize them. You see what I'm saying? So that
True.
person now would possibly, even though that person has a new understanding of what being a Christian is, that person wouldn't really associate themselves with that particular sect. You understand? And I went through that. All my Rastafari bedrooms, all my Bobo bedrooms, when I come on the vibe, you know, understand? And they see the change. Because the first change is stop wearing the turban. See, from time you fly the turban, something wrong. Because even within Bobo Shanti, the notion is, even though you are Farai, because I have a turban, you kind of have to look up to me and you kind of below me. Now, it could be again a mental disorder like that, or again some dogmatic vibe there like that. You understand? But from the time you do that, everybody done watching you kind of way already. You understand? So someone's still calling me Ras, and I saying like, ah, for how them man get on there, I don't really want to be associated. I end up cutting on the natty. So now they see like, okay, that man really not, you understand? And then now it's just the ultimate distance. Because from time I evolve, not that I say I above or below anybody, but from time I evolve in my consciousness, because it's my experience and my journey, it's like to dim myself that while it didn't ostracize me already, I seen out. And not
No,
just
well,
for the sake of like the future generation.
somebody,
Like, because what I'm saying to the evolution still would be like, because okay, the other time when I was bobo, a bedroom I try and reason vibe about Selassie with a bedroom. And the man tell me, but if Selassie is God, I am God too. I tell the man that's a blasphemy you're talking there. That is blasphemy, that is satanic thing you're talking there. And you understand? So I mean, I kind of share that same understanding right now because we all are gods, right? We all are gods. If we call the all is the mind, and we call it the divine intelligence or the universal intelligence or what have you, and we all, according to Marcus Garvey, are unitary particles of that divine intelligence, then obviously to me, that is about it, really.
Well,
So,
let me make a comment.
I don't know if I want to interject, to use the point
Okay, okay,
because
go ahead.
go on ahead.
You can go ahead,
okay, want me to say
Yeah.
something?
Oh, yeah, got you.
Okay, well, okay, as you relate to whether you identify yourself as Rasta or not, as I said, the fundamental for I is you seeing the divinity of His Majesty, right? So if the man cite up that, on a faith basis, I'm gonna put it, then the man know a Rasta. You see what I say? The reason why I still refer to you as Rasta, because my Rasta, the Rasta that I understand, is not strictly about the aesthetic, meaning strictly about the particular culture. It is more about the divine. So
But
anyway, I go, for example, and I meet a brethren, irrespective of whatever you follow me, meet another human being. And he reason at this level of awareness that tell me, okay, he's spiritually aware. As far as me comes in, he want Rasta. Whatever order he follow, he can call me that same order too. You know what I mean? But me understand is on that principle basis. When me vibes towards you, look what in your hand all now.
yeah,
Me say when me vibes towards you, you try to do away. Look what in your hand even now.
true.
Your level of reasoning, your level of understanding about God and all them something there, your concept about them something there, accurate. Me not no special reason for calling something different from me, particularly given that you've been part of the culture. Me not gonna do that on the basis of the aesthetic, because at the day, the
But I,
movement
sir,
really about as the faith aspect is concerned.
So
It
would
is
you call would you still call Aku a Rasta then? Because
me's
he's not
not a
on the
Rasta.
aesthetics.
Me's not. No,
if he
me's not a Rasta.
That's not Aku. Just not Aku. Let Ison answer.
Me don't
Because he
think
doesn't have the
what?
aesthetics, Ison.
What?
yeah,
What?
yeah, I know that.
What? I
But
turn off my
honestly
mic.
speaking,
Lord, boy, I
You
want the
sound in a kind
judgment
of
the
of
way,
God.
mics
Aku.
and them, the mics and them.
Your mic sound in a kind of way, Aku.
Yeah.
No, but I did mute my mic so I could hear Isern better.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm
It was,
saying is, you ask the question, right? You don't consider yourself a Rasta no more. You take yourself out of that dynamic.
Sure.
But what Isern is saying is that he still acknowledges you as a Rasta. So it still goes back to the majority and not Isern.
I check.
But why majority matter? Were you seeking approval from majority?
No, what I'm saying is that you are in a movement of pushing this new faculty of thinking, which I agree with, Isern. But you have
Yeah,
to
but
add.
I know it is not standard. You see, I'm not trying to push it as a set of
I think
idea
it's
and you
a
try
good
to
thing
impose
to
on
push.
people in the gen. Hold on for a bit. That
I'm
this
saying
can
it's
go
a
because
great
remember
thing
all
to
the people
push.
listening.
Just now, Akko. Just now, Akko. Let
Okay.
him finish.
All right, I'm on my way to work. One shot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, well, so that'll be it for you, yeah, since you're on your way to work right now.
But is that myself as a Rasta, not only because they don't see me as a Rasta no longer, but I don't agree with the tenets that makes a man a Rasta. So what makes you a Rasta, I son, is a bit unorthodox based on what everybody else would say.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, Akko. Akko. Yeah, dread the
Oh, I'm
Akko.
sounding now.
Akko,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to kind of stop moving and probably so you're on your way to work now.
Yeah, oh, me sounding now.
Let's say final words and maybe we can
Yeah,
just
so you can seal up, you can give your final words if you have to move, and then
Yeah, so the item can hear me?
yes.
yeah.
All right, good. What I'm saying is that Isan has a great thing that he's come across because it pushes Rasta to think outside of the traditional Rasta box. But within that, he still has to go against a large wave of Rastas that are out there that would look at me and Saya and say, well, you turn your back on Rasta, man. You throw yourself, you throw your milestone. You know what I'm saying? Them things there. Look, I heard some of the worst things from my brethren in the order, all because of nuances in the thinking process of Rastafari. Because I was one of the beginning Rastas who tried to add the comedic thing to the Bobo Shanti thing. And the man them used to tell me, yo, don't go up on the altar with that, you know. Matter of fact, know that we're born Egypt. Because one of the things where Bobo said, we're born Egypt.
Egypt, St. Lucia, Egypt, Jamaica.
We're
Yeah.
born in place there. And whether we're saying it represents bondage or whatever, it still has the connotation of
The
burning
Bible.
yourself, so to say.
Yeah.
Burning outside thought. And you ain't gonna get no bigger metaphysics than in Kemet. So I just don't see how I see it as a going against the grain, so to speak.
No,
And although I think
let
that
me help you out.
eventually it will take root, I think eventually it will take root. But right now, yeah, all you probably looked at as a different kind of Rasta man right now.
No, let me reason something to you, brother. What I'm gonna do out here now, I'm out here for tell man for adapt to
Who
more
them is on them things?
conversation as a matter
Yeah.
of some new order that I bring in that way, you understand? More importantly, I want to bring attention to the idea that when you come in, it is a process of growth. And growth means there have to be changes because you cannot go unless you change. One of the things that I confront, right? Because I mean, you come up in a certain way of thinking that I might call group thinking, particularly in the initial stage. And when I come to the point that I start to realize certain things and realize that it would conflict with the general group thinking, you understand? One of the things that I man learned is God no come to group, God come to individual. And that's what allow me the freedom within myself for follow the truth and the understanding as he revealed to me personally. Because you see, whatever you take from other people are concepts. You understand? But what you experience, what come out of you, what you know. You understand? So the important part I want to bring out is that this whole chadia, it is a growth process. And you can confront that same scene within yourself, where your growth bring you to a point now of going outside the group think, which really like your first level. And when you reach to the point there, yes, you got a conflict. You got a conflict with how the general grouping see you. But and because you wrong, you understand? And because you wrong about where you go, it's because growth in understanding and realization assure you one deeper understanding to things than what you've been told or what you've been living all along.
Right. Hey,
You
sorry
see?
to cut you, but I have to go. My phone are dead right now too.
All right,
Okay.
Akko. Well, give thanks for coming
So,
in.
but give thanks, I son, and give thanks, Ed, for the moment, and give thanks,
Yeah, man.
Simon, right? Wake
Respect
up in
now.
a new life.
All right, Akko. Peace and love.
That
Give thanks for the time, King.
Yeah.
You breaking up. You breaking up.
Take it out.
You try and give your final words.
Oh, I thought he was final.
You breaking up. You breaking up, King. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I say, brother, what I'm more importantly try to do, I bring attention to what the process of growth involves. And not only that, but for make known the importance of having the necessary information for ones to be able to grow. Because one man need food for growth. I man happen to go out and find books in my search because my question in my mind that me need to get answer. And me happen to be one of them person that go out and get introduced to book. And once you set your meditation with the universe, I can send them. You seeing? So I get, I fortunate enough to get to certain information and deep my knowledge and everything and bring myself safely to this position here, still Rastafari, and understand the symbolism and everything involved with His Majesty for properly interpret everything so that it makes sense with the notion that really God is in every man. You understand? And that every man is divine and so on. This language that we're speaking now. You see it? Because when you start the chatting, you start the chat with the idea that His
Somebody
Majesty is the
echo in
one
there.
that divine.
Just now they have an echo there, Ison.
Ed.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
Because when you start the journey, you start the journey with the idea that His Majesty is divine and that you are now seeking divinity through your worship and observation of Him. That's the overstanding you start the road with now. You start with an overstanding that you divine. And some of these things and the things that you can just like it one picnic and ban and you go and give them big people food. Some of this thing, people get the information in a certain way because he help you for come along. You can't take one man that you try to teach English and just start with showing you one set of words. The best way, I forget you acquainted with the alphabet and all the rest of it. You understand? You can't you have to know whole multiple word and get in a big book and say you're teaching English. You have to teach you the basics things. And when you come in certain information, you get really, without being told so, it really is basic.
All right. Let Ed take a little piece on. Ed
Respect.
we since the time. Yeah. Ed, go through on.
Unmute.
Ed, you
you
Yeah, go on it.
well, I said when you start off with seeing Haile Selassie divine. Haile Selassie has been divine, and looking up to Haile Selassie for trying to attain your divinity as also, not realizing that you are divine. If I'm correct in what I understand, that it, but it, when I started off personally, right,
Mhm.
I saw Haile Selassie first as being divine, but which manifested in the person of Rastafari, right? So I never saw the physical body of Haile Selassie, of Rastafari, as being Haile Selassie first, if you
You
understand what
see
I
what,
mean.
sorry? You see what, sorry? Say again.
I never
Somebody
saw.
say you're speaking low, so I guess you need to speak a bit louder.
Okay,
Somebody say
okay.
volume, yeah.
Well, when I first started off personally, yeah, right,
Mm.
I saw Haile Selassie first as being divine, right? And Haile Selassie first manifested in the person of Rastafari, if you understand what I mean. So I never saw Haile Selassie first as just being a physical being, right? Always saw Haile Selassie first as being the ever living energy from beginning of creation up until now. But it just
What
manifests through the person of
what was your
Rastafari.
background? Okay,
Pardon?
what was your background? What was your background before Rasta? Were you exposed to certain teachings that would make you, for example, use the term energy and this kind of way that you're reasoning?
No, my background before was Christianity, being a Catholic, but at that time in my early stages in life, when I was about almost say about 20, I got to understand that Christianity or whatever we were taught was not the right thing. You understand? And I personally was searching for what we would call God and the right thing.
Mhm.
And eventually, in that search, I became conscious of Haile Selassie first.
Yeah.
No, it's just
Yeah.
the way it kind of somewhat strange to me that you would start the journey and immediately you're not seeing the person of His Majesty, you're already seeing the
This whole
Rastafari. You know, by Rastafari, I believe you're referring to the divine spirit as opposed to Selassie being the person, because that's the wording you've been using, right?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying that Haile
It
Selassie is
kind of
not.
strange because one start the journey except that they would otherwise been exposed and grow to certain understanding. You don't just start your journey with that particular view.
Well, it is
The reason
strange to
I'm
you, but
asking
it's not.
the background.
Well, it is strange to you, but it's not strange to me.
Saying
Um,
maybe you may at a certain level within the Catholic Church in terms of how you mean conceive God, your concept of God at that level. So really, when you come into Rastana, like you start from scratch, you see, for
you just
certain people,
apply the same thing, yeah.
yeah, for certain people, they're going to Rasta like from scratch. And the notion that then carry in a way you pick up in the society generally, and that is to look at God literally as a man that come from somewhere. That's it. That is starting place for most people,
well, for
because that's
most people,
how society conceive and propagate this idea of God.
Hey, do you want to go through or you want me
You can go ahead.
to?
Sorry.
well, because what I'm saying is that most people see or say that Haile Selassie is just a man. So why do you praise Haile Selassie, right? But I do not see Haile Selassie as being just a man. It's an ever living energy that manifests in everything. You understand?
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes. Understood and square with it too.
Okay then.
Yeah.
yeah. But
You really, you're really separating the spirit inside the person, which is the real divinity. There's no divinity in the flesh, really. You understand? So you're just making a distinction between the divinity in the man and the actual flesh.
Yes.
Respect.
But
And
what,
the same way I'm gonna approach it too.
but hear
And
what I'm
that
saying.
and
But,
that divinity. That's not. Let me say one more thing. And that
uh,
divinity is with everybody. That's why they say God is in
True.
man. You
True.
understand?
okay, but hear
Within
what I'm saying now.
everybody. So for somebody to say that we are simply worshiping a man is incorrect.
Okay, but okay, now let me stop there. The divinity you all are basically saying, right? It looks like to me, okay, my understanding of divinity right now, we are all divine. We come from the
Mhm.
divine intelligence. Let's just put it that way, right? But when it comes to the emperor, right, it appears that the item are referring to another level of divinity, which would now then entail or demands, sorry, sort of worship to that individual. So to me, I see them two separate, them two different levels of divinity. They still have a little bit of contention.
No, well, you see, the worshiping, as much as me been explaining over all these discussion, the gesture of worship towards His Majesty, right? Rightfully is a symbolic gesture.
Yes, I understand that, Tyson. I understand
Uh-huh.
that. But the
So
gesture, right? The impetus for the gesture, the impetus for it is because of the understanding that that level of divinity is above yours. Because that's why Ed now would classify the divine intelligence, the universal consciousness, or whatever you want to call it as, with the name or the title of Haile Selassie or Rastafari, which is why he'll say he see Rastafari in everything.
that is like if you are dealing in a situation where you recognize, okay, you have many brethren around, but you recognize that this certain brethren he at a certain kind of level, and you give that certain respect to him. It's not that you're saying potentially he have a greater divine potential than you have.
I agree, but then I wouldn't be doing ritualistic fits to that brethren.
No,
So
but
that's
you're
why
not
I tell
doing
you,
it to
just now,
brethren.
wait. So that's why I tell you now, the ritualistic fits, even though it's symbolic, because you say it's a symbolic gesture, right? Even though it's symbolic, it would still deem like, like that man is just indeed like you just have to worship. Even though it's symbolic, even though it's literal, like you just have to worship there. But if it is a bedroom that I acknowledge, all of us in humanity, if it's a bedroom that I acknowledge and say, yeah, man, that one there, respect, man, respect to that one. You check what I'm telling you? I will not see like I have to go and do some ritual fit towards him. Or even though it's
Within your
symbolic,
speech, within your speech,
uh,
is this fixation on him, which is a reference to the flesh. The flesh is like every time the name come forward, at
okay.
least every time the word come forward for you, you will see the person.
No, I will stop you there. Because the reason why we are seeing the person, because remember, we're in this plane of existence, what some would call a fourth dimension. So we're in this plane of existence. So obviously, someone will even tell you energy slowed down, becoming dense will actually become matter, right? So I'm telling you, that person and the title or the name of that person made you associate the unitary particle of divine consciousness that he is with it. That is why you label and you can see where like you are looking past the person and you are looking for that spirit. Let's just see. Right? But that spirit, I'm saying, that you see in the brother, it in you too, and it in everybody. But then Ed deems the spirit, he calls the spirit the name attached to the physical. So I don't know, like, why when you keep on telling me like I going back to the person, it is the okay, it is because of the person the whole movement is found. That's why the movement is called Rastafari. If it came in a different name or a different character, it would have
What
probably been
ritual
called
do you do these days? What ritual do you do these days?
what rituals?
Yeah, what kind of ritual life? What your ritual life look like? What do you pray to?
But
What
that's why I
do
said
you
I don't
pray?
really pray. I don't pray. I
See it. So how
meditate.
you move?
I give
How you project?
project what really?
I mean, you live right. You know, pray. Now, prayer is something that people usually do for kind of focus, then concentration on whatever it is that they may pray for, and then put their efforts behind that. Prayer is spiritually accumulative. It is said metaphysically and all such. You understand? So people pray. So if you not pray,
Mm-hmm.
right? How exactly do you project yourself to maintain lucidity spiritually,
Okay. What I will
flexible,
say,
you know?
okay. All right. What I will say now,
Mhm.
the understanding of prayer, right? While it goes back to ancient Africans and in understanding of that ultimate consciousness, how we were taught to pray is something different. Because when people pray, it's always to ask for something. You understand? And most times, sometimes what they ask for, they don't receive. Sometimes they're saying, oh, God has timing and everything, God timing. And so, me now, what I'm telling you, I do not pray because over more than a decade ago, when I used to go down on my knees, as I told you in the last show, I used to pray to Selassie. You understand? So, in that evolution, right, an I seen is the same divinity as in me. That's why I say it coming like a strata, like like he's actually put at a pedestal where he
So wait,
demands your
when
just now you cut it
sorry.
so like when you put him at the pedestal, it's like he's just deemed that worship. But in me, using having before to pray to Selassie and then stopping that. And look, I see Raziona say he in Rastafari over 50 years and he doesn't pray to Selassie. Well, that is your vibe, give thanks. You actually came and you evolved one time. Most Rastas, it goes through a process because I can show you, I can guarantee you, I said most Rastas pray to Selassie.
yeah, but it's a process of growth.
Yes. But when you say it's a process of growth now it's true I shouldn't be involving myself because I already removed myself, like you said earlier. But in the process of growth, again, most will not even share that idea because that is your perspective. Most
So
okay.
you deal with concept and ideas and comparisons. I now
But
deal with
isn't it an
comparison.
idea we're dealing with? Isn't the whole notion
No,
of
no, no. No, me talk about when you say what I deal with, that may not compare with somebody and all that kind of stuff.
not somebody, the collective?
The idea is for not to me, right? The idea is not for me because of my personal growth to impose some new regulation and rule upon the collective.
It is
And
not
the same way, hold on there. The same way, right?
Mhm.
That I had to break away from that collective group thinking to recognize my truth.
Mhm.
At the same way that must stand outside of that collective if they're not at the level.
All right. Now let me stop
And
there.
nothing wrong with that because everybody in that collective on their own personal path of growth.
Okay, I understand. But listen to what I'm saying. If you are within something, right? Say we in a vibe and you believe certain concepts, and then you come to realize these concepts are not true or misconstrued, right? But for a good cause, nonetheless. I personally wouldn't go outside of the collective and try to make it make sense in another way. That is why the brethren was mentioning something called confirmation biasness. Because within the levels of falsifiability, they say that if you have an idea or if you have a theory, right? If you have an idea or a theory, you have to look for ways really to prove yourself wrong. So if you're looking to prove yourself wrong, and you are getting no way that wrong, then it must be correct. But then if you have something already, and then you're only looking for ways to push it for it to be right, it's like you kind of being oblivious to the other side. It's called confirmation bias, and then that will result in what most people refer to, and I'm sure in the Black community reasoning, they will call it pseudoscience. So I will not want to go in that level there. You understand? To really, to me, I out to a level, and then I understand the divinity. Now that's why I tell you my understanding of divinity and perhaps the item level of understanding the divinity is different, because although I see him as divine, I see myself as divine because we come from the same source.
So where you never always
Just
have
now, just now. We come from the same source. He did feats that were great, marvelous, and I give thanks. Like they have a brethren that is more versed in specific things more than us. I give thanks same way. Some of what he did, I will actually question, and I'll be scratch him for the same way I will be scratch a brethren for. So to me, in that understanding, I do not have to give no sense of worship to a level where, even though it's symbolism or that level there. Because to me, if you evolve, if one say that they evolve in the consciousness and the understanding, and you realize that is not no worship thing, because even you yourself said you stopped praying time ago, like you don't really do them prayer thing there, so right? Even you say that, because if you ain't giving the prayer thing, that means you realize you are the divine like that, right? Why then would they still believe?
No, but this is what I understand too. It's just like you might be a person that used to exercise a lot, right? It make your body more agile, you're more whatever, because doing the exercise do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can all of a sudden get in on flow that boy, a month's gone and you're not even going to do a little exercise now.
Mm-hmm.
It stop you from move, you're still moving, you're still living, you still do everything, but you might just lose that little edge that you used to have because you now do the exercise. Mm-hmm. Rituals are like that. When me go to the bingy and then some of them, I can feel one difference. Although I kneel down and pray formally. I do not formal praying.
Okay.
And generally speaking, I'm around the bingy. But whenever I do go there, even with all the limited interpretation sometimes, that will come from ones that go to the altar and a reason and everything. Mm-hmm. The feeling of it and differences left me back with a certain focus and a certain edge. Because that's where the rituals and them for. You understand? Let me reason some with the man, right? Mm-hmm. Because this thing here come right down, how can use the law polarity for establish even this whole thing that how we talk about God and all the rest of it, right? Mm-hmm. Within our own consciousness, because of the law of polarity, you have one positive side and you have a negative side. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, the negative side is considered to be your fleshly animal nature. You understand? Mm-hmm. And the spiritual side would represent the God side. You see? Mm-hmm. This is what make part of the exercise when you come through the religious order and so on, that you have to do fasting and differences. Mm-hmm. Fasting and then some, they help for alter the nature, the fleshly nature, because the flesh crave and gluttonous for food. So when you can put the flesh through the exercise of doing fasting a couple of times, mm-hmm. It helps to shift your nature in a kind of way that allow you more ease in performing the spiritual principles internally. Because you get challenged, just come and get positive thought in your head and just run out there and just manifest the work.
But I know man that fast already and still doing dirty works, I said.
No, I never said that the fasting are magic one. Okay. For all of a sudden make them all positive. Okay. But it is like an exercise. Mm-hmm. It exercises you in a building strength, because when you fast, you live above the demand, the material demands in the farm or the food that you eat. Mm-hmm. You're living above that. You're demonstrating that you can prolong for days, and some people do all 21 days. You understand? No food. Now, without you doing a fast, you would never try to go even a week without food. You wouldn't dare do that. And you would not have the strength either to just get up abruptly and do that.
Well, I've done the, well, to be honest, when I was Bobo, I've actually partaken in the 40-day fast where I only eat for 2 hours a day. Between
See,
12 and 2.
what you
I
eat?
do that for a whole 40 days.
What you eat?
No way, I have to try and eat something solid, really. You know, someone used to eat some cooked food and some baked foods and then stuff on the water. But
See,
man really used to go hard, really.
well,
And the whole,
that's one discipline, but are they unlike fasting as I man describe on? For example, when me do my fast for 7 days, right?
Mhm.
And for 7 days, I'll mean to drink a juice and water. Juice and water for 7 days. No heavy food whatsoever. I know ones that do 21 days and all they drink is water. You understand? When you deal with their level, they're fasting and so eat very, very good. When you're a person that you're very sensational, that you live feeding your senses and then reach to a certain level of strength in you. Let me tell you something, the struggle that people go through inside themselves, right? You might be a man that will try to change your mind. Let's say you used to love a lot of partying and differences. And something draw your attention, maybe you might have one girl and she start go church and differences, and because you know them things happen. You find yourself now start to go to the church, and then church will tell you about keep out the dance hall and keep out of this and keep out of that. Now you don't have one emotional tendency with these things. You don't feed your emotion for years of going out and party and get into this kind of lifestyle. Now, when these things inside of you are yearn for the lifestyle, you know, this new church thing now that you go with your daughter now, I deprive you of that. Because you now have a try to step away from them worldly things now. You understand? Internally, you go through a battle with that impulse inside of you that why you go back, go and do the party and feel nice and groovy. You understand? These are the struggles that you go through inside yourself. You understand? These are the things, these are the murky waters that you have to come through for bring yourself into spiritual realization where your nature can get shifted and so forth. So your impulse and all these things work different. You find after a while now, you know what I mean, the urge that you would have had for going party and everything and all of that, he just drop and he no longer fight you. You no longer have to go through and struggle. I say, boy, I may try to resist going out there and do this or do that. You see me?
All right. There were a couple. They have 2 comments on to read.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been going on for 2 hours, 15 minutes, if thanks. We still have 14 people with us. We had around 20 and then it dropped still because we've been
Much
going
people?
for a while. Well, I'm seeing really a 14, but I know sometimes it's hidden. You know what I mean? So sometimes there's more than 14, but I give thanks nonetheless for those that are here with us. I appreciate you, each and every one of you still. You know what I mean? Both on Facebook and on YouTube. So as Jonas said, yes, the Kemet, the deity will be applied to Haile Selassie, would have to be both man, God, king in that order. With that spirituality, the movement would be in order with a strong African foundation. With Haile Selassie being the man, modern manifestation of said deity, every man have the right to see the deity as he himself. Okay. That is another. That's I can. I think that should be another reasoning, really, entirely.
Which one?
Because, in my view, again, not that one cannot apply the Kemetic understanding to the Rastafari movement, but if that is to be done, right, the literalism or the literal understanding of it cannot stand. You understand? Because the deities or the individuals or the letters we are trying to lay claim, and Prince Isaac is one that famous for that too. Marcus Garvey is Anubis, Emmanuel is Heru or Horus, and Selassie is Osiris. I seen what in an attempt to evolve the thing that is also misleading.
No, Jed. The man
Let's now because these characters, we are taking the African spiritual teaching, right? And we're using it in a different way.
No,
African teaching it, but
no,
the
you're not
African teaching,
overstanding, brother.
but the African teaching never said that these things are literal.
No, but
We
you're
are
not
now changing
overstanding
it.
the gesture.
No, it's not over. I said, believe me, bro. Believe me. I used to be Isaac and all them student. Believe me.
Listen, you
Unless
cannot be
I
saying what you're saying
just
and
now, King,
overstand.
until I stop listening and I start reading and look within myself, a different understanding came. Now, again, I am not knocking the new faculty of reason. If it's that the Friday want to use, it is fine. I am telling you, on my end, the proper understanding of it is not being applied. And that itself will now bring us back to the question a Bedouin asked earlier, where he said, can the progress or something, wait, in Rasta evolution, can the following be relevant or in existence without the interjection of Selassie? Now you might say, but no, but because the thing is called Rastafari movement, so it's Rast. You check it, it's Rastafari. But then the members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association never saw Marcus Garvey as God. Now you might tell me I cannot put Marcus Garvey at the same level as Selassie. That taking me again back around to the strata of the level of divinity we're talking about. So that's why I don't really get caught up in any of that again. And I was giving a bill, I can just agree with the nice show. Which I'm going to tell you. Right, a nice show. So as a as a youth within the life, I've been giving thanks for Rastafari as a stepping stone. I'm giving you my evolutionary stance in regards to certain perspectives and my perception presently through my growth. So, yeah, I can.
Okay, let me adjust this something very precise, Isaac, right?
True.
No, I've never seen it personally, right? So I hear it from you. You know what the interpretation I get immediately? That he's saying that these individuals, the Marcus Garvey, the Haile Selassie, and so on, is the symbolic equivalent to these characters from Egypt. That's what I see.
The symbolic.
Symbolic.
Okay. But then if it was symbolic, because remember, these are netters, these are gods, right? In the Iliad, and you get the name deities, they are part of the deities. And it's like, Ose is the Lord of the Dwat, is the Lord of the underworld. So it's like, that's a different level there. So if you're saying symbolic, again, if you're saying symbolic to me, in my view, the understanding from that time was symbolic, which is why they give it an anthropomorphic or zoomorphic representation in the Meduneta. It was already symbolic. So that's why I tell you, they're like, we're taking it and like we're changing it because
no,
it just now you keep coming with a long no each time I say that.
No, because to me it feels as if, well, you are misinterpreting the position and you kind of attribute a certain kind of negative. It is not destroying anything. How much, let me ask you, have you ever focused on studying symbolism itself?
I have.
What do you gather from that when somebody says something is symbolic? What do you gather from that?
That means it is not just a surface understanding.
Yeah,
it's not
but
just a surface understanding as in regards to and it represents an emblem of something else. It's
right.
like an emblem, right?
So effectively, the symbol itself, whatever that thing is, which is the symbol, it's just representative of a certain ideal. All right. Well, go ahead.
So you're saying all what he do, he's actually representing, right? But I'm telling you that representation is still incorrect because
how you gonna make it? How it come incorrect?
Because if the characters. There are different levels of symbolism. You can symbolize things any kind of different way because, again, it is abstract. So you could put it in any particular direction, right? It's abstract. But then when you try to objectify it, I said, to me, you're going off.
What you mean object?
Because okay.
The object is a symbol. Every symbol have to be an object.
Okay. When I say object, in regards to you are making the thing be it or part of it. Okay. The letters, as we know, right? They say are principles of nature, principles within us, right? You are taking a particular letter and saying it is that individual.
Okay, let me try to help you with
now,
that.
I suggest now. To me, that is another level of euphemism because they're like mythological characters. We are taking an individual in history and making the individual it. So to me, we are applying that very same principle there. Now, what I'm saying is, in my understanding and the research I've done, these characters never existed. That is part of the fundamental principle about it. Never existed. So right now we want to say that, okay, that particular man, even though he's symbolic or not, is that character. That already, to me, sending the thing off already. Because there is a deeper understanding, right? A deeper understanding in really making it reflect on you. So that's why I say the outside projection, it come like part of the God Savior complex. Like we're always looking for something on the outside. Now, I don't believe that was what the teaching the ancestors was on. Because even though there was a Nesut, right? And they're giving thanks to the Nesut, even when time come, the Nesut and everybody have to venerate, the Aten or Amun-Ra or what have you. So they're like it coming down again to even when people will say the emperor even still praying. You check what I'm telling you? So in my view, like when you come across them kind of truths there is no need to continue to me to still bring about that, which takes us back to the bedroom question again. Yes, can the evolution of Rastafari be without the interjection of Haile Selassie? Like must the God thing be there? Because the UNIA, Gaviites or what have you, still thrive and did what they have to do without seeing that God aspect like that above, to deem that worship there like that. The guy says, yes, it's Marcus Garvey following Marcus Garvey, and we, but then it's kind of different to Selassie because we can't say we follow in Selassie like that because no, it didn't come out like a Marcus Garvey situation where he made an organization and then we just decided to venerate because obviously at the time we never had a king. It was King George. Put him away.
It was more than that.
You know what I mean?
It was more than that.
Mm-hmm.
This thing ain't nothing for nobody get up in one set of ears and just jumping all over the place trying to find.
They have another comment after you, but yeah, go on.
This you understand? This is no kind of thing where everybody jump up all over the place.
Okay, Kwame have a comment. Kwame.
You want to go into it then?
Kwame, yeah. He just checked that new knowledge make the brother leave a whole movement. Yeah. But what I'm saying, like, it's not make a brother leave a whole, like, why still be in the movement if I already share the same perspective as the majority? To me, that's my view. That's my view. You understand? If somebody can understand that, they can say, well, like, I haven't evolved. So, like the Benjamin in the chat, for example, he will deem that my level is not a mature level, like how you would say to him, he's done saying me backward already, like I backward and like I don't. You see, and that is the majority, their perception. Now Kwame says, Simon Rajawish, the ceremonial reverence Rastas give to him derived only because him has proven when it counted most to express the more superior mind among his peers based on the principles he consistently exuded and exemplified. This is why the cosmos blessed him with eternal life through I and I, his children and brothers and sisters. Give thanks. Yeah. Ras Jonas join up on the next time. That grabs the question. Yeah. We know it's some mystics. We know that it's myths, as Ison mentioned last reasoning. Every spiritual concepts, regardless of nations, are based on myths. Chances I can agree with. The literal cannot stand in right. Simon Raja is the literal cannot stand in right. How amazing it is that maybe for the first time in modern history, a living man has been made a deity. This is a marvelous history. Okay. Um, yeah, it's marvelous history to us, but then the Ormos would highly disagree with us. You check why, and I don't even want to say us, 'cause I don't even really share. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying, but again, I don't want to group because they're already not grouping me. But then the
Are you?
Ormos, the people will actually not agree with that, Kwame. So that's why I'm telling you, it's all about a personal experience. As Ison said, it's all about a personal experience. You understand? Racionas is the oldest civilization in Africa, not tribes, which have had one of the oldest mythological beliefs in deities. Question: if Rastas can substitute Selassie for self, oneness, what difference would it be from Kemetic practice? If Rastas can substitute Selassie for self, oneness, what difference would it be from Kemetic practices? You want to take that on, Ison?
Hmm?
He asked if Rastas can separate, if Rastas can substitute Selassie, like instead of Selassie, put yourself, right? What difference would it be from a Kemetic practice?
Kemetic.
Yeah.
Me not even understand that practice about Kemetic that you move Selassie and put yourself. Listen, there is a hierarchy, right? Let me go a different way
Mm-hmm.
because it really get very personal the way how people observe this whole idea about Selassie. I guess that come out of human nature because they say look like well you take up this man right you know and they make it bigger than everybody else and that kind of way. I guess that come out of human nature. You understand? But this tradition that Rasta is actually practicing in declaring the king as divine and God, that kind of story,
Mm-hmm.
as something that is created in the Kemetic order. I have read this. I read this thing, yeah. Wait, I'm gonna try pull this thing back up, yeah. I have read it. I've read this already to you. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. Let me just see if I can find this thing. Because I read it to you guys when he said at all, divine kingship are one of the key tenants, right,
Mm-hmm.
of Egyptian religion.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to find that I can read it because this would really help one for understand mystically what was going on. The founding far-right brethren and them may not be even considering what they're doing in these terms because you see the unfoldment of things in a human social arena, you understand, as something that although we tried and
Oh, I was about to ask you if you're reading or if you're speaking. I didn't really.
no, me
I go
speak
through.
now. Although we tried under the illusion that okay, I have free will and how we do everything that how we do are fit into an archetype structure. There is certain things that's constantly going on and recycling itself in terms of human relation. You
To give you a
understand?
head, to give you a heads up, we go still up next 15, eh?
Okay, good. Let me jump right into the divine kinship and cut to the chase, right? So that one can understand exactly what's going on with this Selassie thing and why you have to have this man up here and Ray. You understand?
It's not
It's all
Ray.
it's all about really the idea of divine kingship, right? And what it meant to a people who had no identity, because that was the condition of the black people in the diaspora. We had no identity. I don't know nothing about Africa that make our penetrate Ethiopia because Ethiopia was free name in a call up in the news because of Haile Selassie. So we learn about Africa like we go to Africa via Ethiopia in that sense.
We cannot stick in Ethiopia.
Eh?
But yeah, when we go to Africa through Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, because the divine king was there mystically. I mean, one can walk around and say, oh, Marcus Garvey, no, in a prophesying nothing and everything, and I not argue that. Right? But when you check how everything unfold, nonetheless, although you can want to break it apart and say, Marcus Garvey never intended that and that and that and that. That whole thing about look to Africa for the crowning of a black king was taken on board by the people who were searching for an identity. It was taken on board and then find one king, right? Under which they can farm themselves now into a nationhood as a people. These things I may tell you, nobody in the inception probably think about that in those terms. But that's in fact what has been happening. Now, this is the tradition, yeah. The divine kingship, right? Understanding the divine kingship and the significance of that symbol of his majesty as the king. Divine kingship was one of the fundamental tenets of ancient Egyptian religion. In fact, few of us realize the extent to which religion and politics have been inextricably intertwined in the person of the king throughout human history, not even Egyptian history.
What's the name of the book you're reading there?
It's not a book.
Oh,
this one writing that I did, but this one excerpt.
Oh, that you did. Okay.
Yeah, but this area that I'm reading to you is an excerpt from Professor Lanny Bell, an Egyptologist, archaeologist, and a specialist on divine kingship. And this is an excerpt from his writing, right? So here tell you, few of us realize the extent to which religion and politics have been inextricably intertwined in the person of the king throughout human history. Hear this. The king either was a god or functioned as a divinely appointed agent of God throughout history, right? Just hold the note there because that is archetypical. This is why you show up among every human being and them have this structure with king and this and that and normal people. King and this and that and normal people. It is archetypical. That's the way I organize, that's the way things are going to be structured in most cases. All right? Anthropologists and historians of religion have documented such phenomena in many cultures from different time periods all over the world. In order to begin to appreciate the doctrine of divine, of kingship, of the divinity of the king, we must project ourselves into the world of the ancient Egyptian and examine their belief from within their own cultural perspective. Now listen this here, because this is the mythology. And they created that as a hierarchy to establish within the consciousness of their people their relationship to God through the king. You understand? Their relationship to God through the king. Because the king sent his son now to govern over you in righteousness and all the rest of it. That's the symbolism go on there. You understand? A solar incarnation. The Egyptian king ruled as the sun, manifesting its powers. And when we die, his divine spirit, and when he died, his divine spirit rejoined the sun, while his transfigured body was buried in a tomb where the drama of the sun's nightly rebirth was reenacted. By the time of the New Kingdom in 1570 down to 1070 BC, the dogma of divine kingship exhibited a high degree of sophistication. Hear this. The king was the physical offspring of the creator by a human woman, the mother of God.
Okay, stop there. Stop there. right? We go still up there. What I have to say about all what you just read. One of the things I catched up on, you said the king was seen as a god, right? That's why we cannot just read and romanticize on what we read because of the confirmation bias, because it proving or it making what we believe look nice. Now, mind you, I am not denouncing divine kingship because in my view, right, the era or the not the era as in ERROR, but ERA, or the time period of that divine kingship, which we will see in dynastic Egypt, caused part of the downfall. Because in pre-dynastic Egypt, the egalitarian system, in my view, functioned much better. Now, the divine kingship you're speaking about are kings who are basically in line for the throne. So everything set already is like they in line.
This is mythology.
Just not mythology. We're actually talking about real vibe because you're speaking about the kings, a divine kingship, but you're speaking about it in regards to what the king represents and all that, right? So I'm telling you, the divine kingship, in my view, number one, the dynastic period contributed to the downfall because the egalitarian system before that, right, which us as a people made us as a people flourish as a nation. That's number one. Number two, the divine kingship they are speaking about, Lanny Bell, or any other Egyptologists would signify kings that are in line and didn't have to struggle for the throne or the kingship or nothing like that.
But the whole idea of kingship and the divinity now have nothing to do with who get on the throne and who not get on the throne.
Yeah, yes, because why you think, okay, take for example, when Alexander came, right? And he considered himself king of Egypt and he's the pharaoh for the
You're not talking politics, you know.
How you talk? No, but
you speak about the politics of the king.
To me, politics wasn't that a key word in what you were reading? You did mention politics.
Yeah, but we speak about this thing within the context of religion and symbolism.
Yes, I
the
said.
Reason why in the writing.
No, to me, no. Because you saying I talking about politics, but I'm telling you, for the people to see the thing as divine, you have to be in line for that. Like that is you. Now, if it's not you, they would not see you as divine. And I am using the example of Alexander when he conquered and just come and sit on the throne and play like he's king. They didn't recognize that or acknowledge that because not just the fact that you just came and conquer and come and, you are not in line for the throne. So to me, in my view, again, for that divine kingship to really take root like that, it have to be really, no cut and clear or struggle for power, them kind of way there. You understand? And again, I just play in the devil's advocate still. Right? But ultimately, Ison is about
you seem to be struggling. You seem to be struggling.
No,
hear me out.
Before I hear you out, right? Because I have to give you your closing words. I do not like the fact that if someone does not gravitate to a particular understanding that perhaps you share through your personal experience, to think that that person's struggling. Because my perspective and my perception, right, differs from what the eye is saying. Now, it might even make you think that the level you're thinking of it at is a more mature level than how I'm perceiving it, and that in itself is incorrect.
Let me ask you a quick question. Does you not worship in a Haile Selassie? Now worship no man. You worship the ethers, right? Make you better than a person that worship a man?
No.
Does it make you more spiritually aware than this person? Necessarily.
Perhaps. Because my understanding of spiritual aspects is limited to the box of this character. Because it's like nothing I want to perceive, I it's like everything I want to perceive, I have to associate it with that name. So it doesn't give me, it doesn't allow me to have a like, you know, a more open view about everything. It confining me to that box. Because look, the Bedouin said to him, Kwame said to him, his higher self, is Rastafari.
But it's a symbolic gesture.
Oh my days, guys. But I'm telling you,
I don't know how you not get this symbol thing and keep having a problem with this. This is why I'm saying you're struggling with it.
I said I'm not having a problem with it because
this is the reason why I have to say you're struggling with it.
In my view, because all the rebuttal questions I've given you, you cannot say those are nonsense questions. So I'm actually spurring you on because in my view, the understanding that the I share, right? Mm-hmm. To a level, I share those same views. But in my view, to me, I want something else. Because I don't confine myself to that box, to that Rastafari box.
But you don't have to either.
All right.
You don't have to, but this is why I asked you the question just a while ago, because I already deal with the bottom line, Rasta.
Mm-hmm.
I already did the bottom line. All this religion and all this worship and everything we go on with. And one single thing we're trying to achieve, you know. We're trying to achieve self-awareness. That's it.
Okay. But in the self-awareness, just let me just interject here. Self-awareness, awareness. Your higher self have to be yours.
When you say yours, what you mean?
But how you mean? But what I'm saying is, you said the ultimate goal is self-awareness. Yes. I said self means you.
Yes, self-awareness.
Forget, okay.
Which you is it referring to? Which you are you? When you say self-awareness is you, what you are you referring to?
It is referring to both, like you like to say, the individual, the indivisible, and the dual being the two natures being both the spirit and the physical. Now, you, Ison, your higher self, forget everything else because it is Ison's higher self.
Well, you see, I don't see the self into the I. I don't see the self in the way that you're speaking it.
Okay.
Because you're speaking at this self that we have to come to, right? Mm-hmm. The self-awareness that we have to come to. Mm-hmm. You're speaking to that self in very personal terms. The self that I am referring to is the same as the self of every other human being. Mm-hmm. You understand? I do. And within the vernacular of this spiritual culture that Iman is a part of, called Rastafari, we symbolize it by the name Haile Selassie I. Not the first.
But like,
this is something I wanted.
But listen, like Imhotep said in part 2, couldn't that possibly be a lack of understanding? Because the first, or the I, which is Roman numerals for the first, we actually thought it to be a letter when it's actually a number.
No, it is not. And I wanted was to answer that too. But in the midst of everything now, it slipped me for really follow up on the statement they know that Imhotep try to make.
But if it was an I, if it is an I, son, that is also a created concept because you will never see his name as Selassie I anywhere you read about him. It's always said in the first.
Oh goodness, it is not about the person.
But it's the person that have the name, I son.
No, hold on, man. Because you see what you do, you keep confusing the divine, the theological concept of the king. You keep mixing it up with the mortal human concept of the king.
But you just said the individual involves both the mortal and the spiritual. So how now you trying to separate them?
Hold on there. Let me try and explain that whole thing with the word and why we say Selassie I, right?
And while you're doing that, at the end of that, just give your closing words one time because the time then away.
Okay, fair enough. True. Now let me say this to begin with. In metaphysics, God in a man is symbolic of the I, because I ain't no past tense, nor future tense, he ever present. And if you read in among writings on them self-realization people from India and them people, You would hear them say that too. The name of God within man is I. It is the same reason why in the Bible it refers to the I am and so forth, right? It is I. That is the name of God within man. So when you hear we say Selassie I and not Selassie the first, it is a gesture in accordance with our symbolism that I have attached to it. Okay. Since I symbolize this, His Majesty, right, as the divine, we put the I at the end of the name to say we're talking about Selassie, the I in us. Okay. And the I in us is the God in us. That is the reverb, the reverb to that. I'm going to show you more evidence in there. As your brethren Aku, me say, we mispronounce the word Rastafari because it really is Rastafari. Rastafari. Well, no, we don't mispronounce nothing. It's the very same thing we do again. Rastafari, I. The I in us, the God in us. That our word Rasta actually do the word sound. Check on me now name too. Me name I Cern. And my name so because I come Rasta and start to deal with a spiritual life. So now myself become the essence of all existence. Now I identify myself with that essence. Then me refer to myself as I Cern. In other words, me proclaim my spiritual awareness. You understand? I'm a status. My brethren, he named Kwam I, not Kwame. And Kwame really the name. Because I think Kwame mean born on a Saturday or a Wednesday, something like that.
If it means born on Saturday, is actually a West African name, perhaps Yoruba, yeah.
Yeah. So it's Kwame really name. Kwame, sorry, he really name like Kwame.
But he changed it to Kwame because
we call it Kwam I for the same reverberance again. Okay. I, the I. You see what I say? So no mistake that Rasta, I say Haile Selassie I. It is a metaphysical statement. And one of the things that me instantly learn when I first read a metaphysical Bible dictionary, that Rasta is metaphysical.
Okay. Give thanks.
Yeah.
But the icon close up through, the icon go through and close up.
Well, I man give thanks again. As I say, this whole reasoning that I put forward, which one's now referring to as the new faculty, the new age Rasta, you understand, is less of a doctrine and more of, basically outlining the experience that I have had going through all these levels, seeing His Majesty as God and everything, bonfire now, working in Babylon and all of that. I man just come to report what the end result of that whole journey is. You understand? In terms of where I man reach in awareness and how I man able to now interpret His Majesty. You understand? In a way that is suitable and consistent with absolute truth. You understand? To me, it's now consistent with that. Because if this thing we refer to as God is an energy, and that energy is all pervading to all our way and everything like that, then for bring this energy down to a personage would be a misapplication. So we're saying that when the gesture is made towards the personage, it is a symbolic gesture. We are using the name of this personage to symbolize that energy. Because you see, whether you want to symbolize it in a person or a dog or any object at all from creation, you have to objectify it. Because if you don't objectify it, you cannot relate to it in consciousness.
But why should it be objectified when to you if something is up? Anyway, no, go on. Sorry.
Think about it. With all the ma'at that are we ma'at now, we learn about Egypt. You understand? And Egypt and all them, they have names that them attached to these energies, these thought forces in consciousness. You have to have an object. The object can even be a name, as a, you know what I mean, just a name. It can be a statue. If you want, put one statue of it and say, this is the object. You can do that. Once you have the understanding that the power is not in the object itself, but what the object itself symbolizes. The power is not in the person of Haile Selassie. The power is in the divine that he represents. I think there's a good point to just end it. What do you think?
Yeah, man. You can end it.
Yes, sir.
But then I have to give my piece though.
Well, respect.
Powerful reasoning, as usual. You know what I mean? Powerful reasoning. That one wasn't even planned, which is why the family didn't get any notice or nothing. We just take out, so you know what, we go have a bill on the past 2 shows. You know what I mean? And that in itself bring about more reasoning, especially in the presence of Aku and pushing Tyson buttons, man.
But like, you know, Rasta. But like the energy nonetheless, you know, because things will come alive once he involved.
Yeah, man. You know, and some people don't understand the bedroom, but you know what I mean. I give thanks for the brother, but some things I don't agree on him with, you know, and that's just it with humanity. You can agree with everything, somebody, but that shouldn't stop, you know, the bill like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I give thanks for the bedroom coming in, and the two of you all had a good bill. Give thanks for Ed and his presence, although it kept you know what I mean. Thanks to the chats and the panel, both Facebook and YouTube. And I don't know when the next bill will come, family. We do 3 days straight there already, so you know what I mean. Probably take a little humble and then come back, rewind and come back again still.
Yeah,
you know.
So we can hold a specific you know, can get more detail into things like, okay, what coming to know yourself involve, and you know, the internal journey in thoughts and so on. I man love these things because these are what people confront in their experience, internal thoughts and vibes. And sometimes you're all confused and you know which one to choose and like stuff like that. It's good to know your inner world, you know?
True, man. Yeah. So give thanks again, Ras Ison, even not being present, you know what I mean? And time away from the family and them way like that and all the things you have to do. So I give thanks for the bill, King.
Yes, King.
And peace, love, and coconut oil. You know already. Melanated Empire. Yes, everybody that Indian is subscribed to Melanated Empire, go on YouTube and subscribe. Check it, even though they have some haters and they say I anti-Selassie or what have you. Peace and love and power to the family. Give thanks.
Yes, I bless her.
Again, peace and love, King.
Yes, I love and respect.